WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally!
This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Hanging with Hennig back in the 97.3 ESPN studios, streaming live on X and YouTube at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. We got a lot to get to. Of course, you wouldn't know this by the way some people act, but the Phillies have lost 6 of the last 10 games. I know half of America was celebrating 4th of July yesterday, and maybe you drowned your sorrows with the Phillies into last night's festive celebrations. By the way, hope everyone happy 4th of July weekend. Glad you guys have you on board the show. Stay safe, stay hydrated out there. Traffic is nuts. I have been purposely taking the back way into the station the last couple days. So I've been doing my best to avoid the crazy traffic. So let's get into it today here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Coming up in about 25 minutes from now, Frank Close, the Phillies insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. You hear him during the week with Mike Gill for the Phillies mailbag on Tuesdays here on 97.3 ESPN. He'll join us coming up at 12:25. Then at 2:25, we will hear from AP senior NFL insider Rob Motti, as we are about a couple weeks, about 2 weeks and change from the Eagles players reporting to training camp. So we'll get into some of the NFL news and notes as we are starting to ramp up for the football season. On top of all of that, question of the day. Now, I had a buddy of mine text me this morning, and unless he wants to be identified, I will not identify him. Unless he wants me to say his name, I'm not going to do that. But a buddy of mine texted me this morning. I'm going to read you verbatim from my phone. This is going to be the question of the day. All right? Of all the things. Now, again, this is a buddy of mine from high school. He texts me. He says, no prompting, just 9 p.m. tonight, ESPN, with 5 exclamation points. Then I say, because honestly, anytime you text me before 10 a.m. in the morning, no matter what time I woke up, my brain is not fully woken up, okay? I will fully admit that. I don't know how the rest of you guys are, but I'm typically up late because of this job, 97.3 ESPN. It's a job that, I watch sports. And then when I'm not watching sports, I'm doing other work. So I'm typically up late. Whether I wake up at 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, doesn't matter. It takes me some time to start getting the cobwebs shaken out. So I say, what's tonight at 9 p.m.? He writes me back, SMH, I'm disappointed. And I replied back, Summer League, ? And I sent him the shoulder shrugging emojis. And he said, Utah. In Vegas, they play the Spurs and Mavs. Now, I'm pretty sure my buddy is still mad at me. And that's why he hasn't gotten back to me since. But I'm just curious. How excited are you for Summer League tonight? Because I told my buddy, and he didn't get back to me. I said, Summer League is a casual watch for me. It is not appointment viewing. There's never been a point in time where I've been like, I've got to watch the Summer League. Oh my goodness, No. Summer League I treat the same way I treat the NFL preseason, the same way I treat MLB spring training. These are exhibition games. These are not definitive moments in time. I enjoy watching the young guys get time. I enjoy the opportunity to see these players go out there and do their thing. But I'm not sitting there, like Nick Earnshaw mentioned on the locker room with Billy Schwein, appointment viewing. It's not appointment viewing for me. So you guys let me know how you feel about it. 609-403-0973 is the text board. So the question of the day, how much are you looking forward to the Sixers rookies debuting in Summer League tonight? Because again, I treat it like, hey, if it's on TV and I'm in a position to watch it, I'll watch it. But to me, it's a little lower on the rung. Okay, I kind of treat it like spring training, whereas I'm going to watch it, but I'm not going to stop my entire life to watch it. It's not appointment viewing for me. And I probably should have that attitude about NFL preseason as well, but I just love football too much. But we'll get to more of the football conversation in just a bit. Let's get into the Phillies. Losers of 6 of their last 10. And the reason why I keep banging that stat is because that stat, all right, that number is very, very significant. Because to me, I don't want to overlook the reality that this team in the last 10 days has been exposed multiple times. And this goes back to the high that Philly fans were on. And you guys can disagree with me at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios live on X and YouTube at Josh Hennig. To me, I think Phillies fans were way too high off of winning the series against the Mets. I think there was so much energy and there was so much positive vibes going on when it came to you beating the Mets that you took for granted what would happen next. You lost 3 straight in Houston. You only scored 1 run the entire series. And then all of a sudden, 13 runs in Atlanta. Then 1 run the next day. And then 2 runs the next day. You could argue you were kind of fortunate to win the series against the Padres. And then yesterday, you get exposed again against the Reds. What is this that's being exposed of the Phillies? It's the fact that Dave Dombrowski, the Phillies president of baseball operations, has built a flawed roster. He has built a roster that is not equipped for consistent winning baseball. There are 9 hitters in a batting lineup. Can you guys confidently tell me, outside of 2 players, who else on this team, when they come up to bat, you're like, all right, here we go. Let's go. No, almost every hitter aside from 2 in this lineup, you have consternation about at this point. I think the only 2 guys that you genuinely, consistently believe in at this point are Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner. Because Trey Turner at least has been hitting all year. I'm not sure if I can even put Bryce Harper into that conversation anymore because Harper has a huge problem right now. This on-again, off-again wrist injury, which the Phillies won't tell you what it is. It sounds a lot to me and people who are much smarter than me, like, Pro Football Doc, Dr. Chow, and Stefan Bell of ESPN, people who are much smarter than me in medical, but they actually had the same opinion that I had about this. So I got to feel better about it, which is this sounds like a tendonitis issue. And those issues don't just suddenly go away. So how confident are we in Bryce Harper at this point if he's not 100%? So you built a lineup that was inconsistent, a boom or bust team. You built a bullpen that was boom or bust. A lot of roulette playing going on with that Phillies bullpen. What was that line from Forrest Gump? You open a, it's like opening a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's the Phillies bullpen. I have no clue what I'm getting now. And you further created an interesting dynamic in the bullpen now that you sent Mick Abel down to the minor leagues. And Taijuan Walker will take his slot for the last fifth starter spot before the All-Star break. So now you're yo-yoing Taijuan Walker back and forth from the bullpen. Remember, the whole shtick was we want to put him in the bullpen and find out what he can do. Well, now you're ripping him out of the bullpen again and putting him in the starting rotation because you felt it was necessary to send Mick Abel down to the minor leagues. So now you've created another layer of questions in the Phillies bullpen. I get that you've been training Seth Johnson this year to be a bullpen pitcher, but nobody in their right mind thinks that this Phillies bullpen is elite, reliable. No, you're playing roulette. You're playing the odds. You're hoping for the best. But the problem with that hoping for the best is that Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies have not prepared for the worst. This team has lost 6 of the last 10 games because they do not have a lineup or a roster filled with guys who are reliable. They have created a team that is unreliable. When you set a World Series record for strikeouts in 2022 versus the Astros, when you collapsed as an offense and completely choked in games 6 and 7 of the NLCS in 2023, when your offense just didn't show up for most of the series against the New York Mets, you showed the Philly fan base that your team is not good enough. And I go back to when we had Taryn Hatcher from NBC Sports Philadelphia last Saturday at the Make the World Better Pickleball Tournament in Seattle City. Again, thanks to Connor Barwin, Jesse Rendell, and everybody over there for helping us out, taking care of us down in Seattle City. But Taryn Hatcher made the comment to me when I pressed her on the Phillies. She says, well, it's hitting season now. And I said, well, what about when hitting season ends? She goes, well, when hitting season until it's not hitting season anymore. That's not a winning philosophy. That's a hopeful philosophy. Taryn Hatcher is trying to put a positive spin to us last week on a, frankly, bleak situation. And that bleak situation is that this Phillies team is not good enough to win ball games. They do not have the lineup. They do not have the bullpen. And frankly, I don't even know if I want to see Andrew Painter come up here yet. Not because I don't want to see him pitch, but because of the fact that how is he solving anything? The Phillies still lose 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, and 6-1 to the Atlanta Braves, and then the Houston Astros, the 3 before that. Andrew Painter doesn't fix you scoring basically 3 runs over a period of 5 days. Andrew Painter doesn't fix all your problems. So we can pine away for Andrew Painter all we want. But the reality is that he is not fixing this team. The only person who's fixing this team is when Dave Dombrowski gets off his high horse, is willing to admit that the roster that he built is flawed, and then we might have a chance to win a World Series. Because currently constructed right now, I am not winning a World Series with a team that's like playing roulette every week. They are a boom or bust team. They are inconsistent. And Dave Dombrowski can tell us all he wants. We have plenty of all-stars. Well, Max Kepler's got a good history. He has a good approach. And the players can tell me all they want how much they love each other and they like each other. Well, guess what? All that energy does is win you 95 games in a regular season and then lose in the postseason. And Philly fans want more from their team. Let's get to the text board, 609-403-0973. We're also live on my YouTube and X platforms at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. By the way, the question of the day: are you excited for Summer League tonight, like my buddy who texted me earlier today? Or are you kind of meh? Because, as I said before, and Nick Earnshaw walked back in the studios pointing to his hat, which is a Sixers hat. I look at Summer League the same way I look at NFL preseason, MLB spring training. I'm not ending my entire life just to watch it, but I'm going to find a way to watch it. I might DVR it. I might stream it. I might watch the replay later. But I am not looking at Summer League as Nick Earnshaw said about Joey Chestnut earlier, appointment viewing. Over on the text board, 609-403-0970. Jeff from Summers Point chimes in. Good to see you, Jeff from Summers Point. He says, I'd like to see VJ Edgecombe for a bit tonight, but I don't care too much about Sixers Summer League. It's a meh for me. By the way, just Jeff from Summers Point. Bud Lights and Fireballs, I am totally aware that's how you roll, my man. Happy 4th of July weekend to you, my man. Jeff from Summers Point chiming in. Listen, I'm with Jeff. I want to see VJ Edgecombe. I want to see Janai Broom. I do want to see the young guys getting some action. But I think he kind of portrayed my feeling. It's a meh. It's a, okay, that's cool. But I'm not sitting there being like, I got to stop whatever I'm doing. Like my buddy who texted me, he's like, 9 p.m. tonight, let's go. And I'm just like, all right. Dave in EHT chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says the Phillies can win the playoffs because they're starting pitching. And you can say all this and worse about every other team in Major League Baseball. The lineup with the pitching is good enough to win and win all of this year. As Dave in EHT. Well, Dave in EHT, the problem is that the pitching staff was great in Houston. The Houston Astros scored a combined 5 runs against you. But you scored 1. Wheeler, Sanchez, Suarez. All 3 deserve to be in the All-Star game. All 3 are pitching at an elite level. But Dave and EHT, here's the problem. They can pitch great all they want, but if the lineup doesn't do their job, no, you're not winning in the playoffs. You still have to score runs. Remember, back in the day, how many times did we look at the Phillies with Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels and them have great outings and then they barely get any run support? Phillies sports fans have PTSD about this offense. So DHC, I agree with you. You need starting pitching to win the postseason. But you also need to score runs. It would help. It would help a little bit. One more text to squeeze in at 609-403-0973. Kyle Schwarber's batting .240. Turner's the only hitter that I can depend on. Yeah, but see, here's the problem. Modern baseball, you can't look at the batting average. Batting average is not the best measure. It's a measure, but not the measure. The value of Kyle Schwarber is twofold. Number one, he's your number one power threat in the lineup. He got 26 homers on the year. By the way, he should be in the home run derby. If baseball doesn't invite him to the home run derby, Rob Manfred needs to be roasted for that, or whoever's in charge of that responsibility. But Kyle Schwarber leads the team with a .380 on base percentage. That means that he is getting on base more than Bryce Harper, more than Trey Turner, more than anyone else on this team. His OPS is over 910, which is incredible. He also has the second best wins above replacement on the team. So you can't just look at the batting average. texter. You got to look at the whole package. And the whole package says Kyle Schwarber is a hitter that you can depend on. All right, coming up next, let's get more into the Phillies with Frank Closer, Phillies insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We are live on my YouTube and X at Josh Hennig.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
If a person is on a date, is it proper protocol that if one person gets their food first, they have to wait for the other person?
Yes.
I tend
because
to
if
agree.
you're on a date, you're trying to make a good impression. You don't want it to be that you're selfish and you're not considerate of the other person. Because that's what you're doing if you eat before their food gets there.
Wake up weekday mornings with Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman on 97.3 ESPN.
Your go-to spot at the Jersey Shore to watch sports is also the Can't Miss Summertime Hangout for live music and great times in South Jersey. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard, the Marmora, features The Yard, with an outside bar, TVs, and live music on stage every weekend. So bring your friends to cheer on your favorite team, watch the sunset on the back deck, and make new summer memories in The Yard. You can do it all at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to learn about upcoming events and specials all summer long at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, ClemicPerformanceMethod.com.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
The Black Friday and July event from Dell Technologies is here with great offers on trusted technology. You'll also discover huge deals on new AI-ready laptops like the Dell 14 Plus featuring Intel Core Ultra processors starting at $699.99. Save on top accessories, plus enjoy fast, free shipping and other benefits. Upgrade today by visiting Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at Xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
4th of July savings are here at the Home Depot with up to 40% off, plus up to an extra $600 off select appliances with free delivery like GE Profile. Simplify your routine with GE Profile appliances, from refrigerators with autofill pitchers and multiple dispensing options to all-in-one washer-dryer combos that can wash and dry a full load in under 2 hours. Shop 4th of July savings on top brand appliances now at the Home Depot. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $396 or more. Offer valid June 18th through July 9th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
The construction reduction sales event at Matt Black Kia continues, and we're open 4th of July weekend to kick off summer with our hottest deals, including 0 down with 1.9% APR financing for 60 months on every new 2025 Kia Sportage or Sorento in stock. Plus, we want your trade any make, any model. We'll even lower your current car payment or give you 2 years of free maintenance on any new Kia. That's lower payments, free maintenance, and open 4th of July at MattBlackKia.com. It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia. Call 215-703-8526 for details.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here in the Dr. Squatch studios here on 97.3 ESPN as promised. Joining us right now is 97.3 ESPN.com Phillies insider Frank Close here on 97.3 ESPN. Frank, welcome in. How you doing today?
I'm good. Happy 4th to you and to all.
Happy 4th of July weekend to you as well. I mentioned before you came on, Phillies have lost 6 of the last 10. And to me, Frank, I think they're getting exposed. A lot of their flaws are being amplified in these losses. You know, the inconsistent hitters, the lack of bullpen depth, the fact that now we're sending McAble down to the minors and bouncing Taijuan Walker back in the starting rotation. Frank, do you think this team is going to be able to do something to maybe rectify some of the irregularities of this roster?
I actually agree with what Dave and EHT just said, that a lot of teams have a lot of issues like this. I think the thing for the Phillies and all these other teams with issues will be how they respond to them at the July 31st trade deadline. So it's almost like you go through the first 4 months of the season, everybody knows going even into the season that they have certain holes, and then that's the time to go and fix them. And it almost has become, the last several years, whoever fixes their team the best wins the World Series or makes it deep into the playoffs. You know, even think back to 2008, you know, those key deadline acquisitions, you know, adding a Matt Stairs makes all the difference. You know, you figure out what the hole is and you try to plug it. Now, Dave Dombrowski, he has been conservative in past years. I wonder if he will still be conservative this year, because I think it is fair to say that the window is closing on some of these players that are aging, the JT Realmutos of the like, even Bryce Harper, who now just last week got into the second half of his 13-year deal. But, you know, I don't know if there'll be any sense of urgency there like there was in the past. I don't know. We're going to have to see how he approaches this trade deadline. I think the pitching that you mentioned has been fabulous. You don't want to waste that, right? So,
right.
You know, Ranger Suarez may not be around next year. I would go for it now if I were in the GM chair of the Phillies. But I think this is going to be a very important trade deadline for the Phillies and quite frankly for a lot of the other teams. By the way, the Yankees, they were another team that you think of as one of the better teams in baseball. They also got shut out in a series recently. So this is going to be a very important trade deadline, and I want to see how the Phillies and all these other teams respond.
Frank Close joining us, 97.3 ESPN.com. The Phillies mailbag is every Tuesday on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Frank, you mentioned about I don't think that the word I would use is, like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. I don't necessarily need urgency, Frank. What I need from the Phillies is acknowledgement. Like, I know Dave Dombrowski can't come out in public and be like, man, I shouldn't have given Max Kepler $10 million. And, I know he can't literally do that, Frank, but at some point, somebody in that back rooms of conversation, right? The Rob Thompson, Preston Mattingly, Dave Dombrowski triangulation, someone's got to have an honest conversation about, like, hey, guys, we have now lost in the postseason 3 straight years for the same exact reason. And right now, if we're being honest and not fairy tales and rainbows, there's only 2-3 hitters you can legitimately depend on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, the Max Kepler deal to this point hasn't worked out that well. I mean, and really, it was a $10 million in 1 year is a very low-risk proposition for a Major League Baseball team today. So, yeah, I think you're seeing them acknowledge that it hasn't worked out, and the fact that they were playing Weston Wilson every time there was a lefty starter. Now it's Otto Kemp getting the at-bats every time there's a lefty starter. So I think they've acknowledged that some of these moves have not worked out. You can't understate the devastating effect of the PED suspension of Jose Alvarado either, because I know you mentioned a little while ago, well, now there's an extra question mark in the bullpen now that Taijuan Walker is going to start. Well, yeah, there absolutely is. And one extra arm of that caliber makes such a difference looking at a bullpen as a whole. So they have to address that too, obviously. But I just think that this is one of those situations where, yes, they knew they had holes. Looking in the offseason, for example, there really weren't any free agent relievers that you thought, okay, the Phillies have to have that guy, or he's the guy that's the missing piece. Talking about outfield bats, you didn't really feel like, hey, there's an outfield bat that they really have to have. I mean, if they had paid $700 bazillion for Juan Soto, I'm sure everybody would love Juan Soto on their team. But beyond that, I mean, there really wasn't a lot out there that sort of directly addressed the holes that the Phillies have. And so that's why this trade deadline kind of becomes important. A lot of the teams that will trade players at this trade deadline, in the offseason, they're thinking, okay, I need to hold on to my guy because, a little move here or there, then next thing you know, we're in the mix. So they're eager to hold on to their assets in the offseason more than they are at the trade deadline. So I think that's why this particular trade deadline is going to be so key, where the Arizona Diamondbacks, now that they lost Corbin Burns, they've got some nice pieces that they maybe want to consider trading. In the offseason, they're adding Corbin Burns. They're not ready to wave any white flags. So you're going to see some teams in this month of July understand, finally, yes, this isn't our year. Time to make some trades. And hopefully the Phillies can match up with some of them.
You mentioned about the trading of the assets. I want to zero in on that for a minute because that's a great point you brought up by you. Because I go back to what John Middleton said a couple months ago. He was on the Philly Show podcast, and he said, he made the comment that I thought was interesting, Frank, which was, hey, we tried to make moves last deadline, but people weren't interested in what we were offering, so we said we became indifferent. That's what Middleton said a couple months ago. Do you think that maybe there will be more interest in what the Phillies are offering this deadline versus last year?
I do, because the Phillies didn't give up a whole heck of a lot the last couple trade deadlines. And I want to acknowledge, too, that when Dave Dombrowski took over this team, he took over a team with an absolutely miserable farm system. I would go to some of the minor league games, as I often do, just to check out who's coming up, and they really had nothing. And so it was almost painful to watch some of these minor league games because there was nobody to even get excited about for the future. So the last few years, one of Dombrowski's unfortunate tasks was to say, all right, I need to add however I can creatively without giving up prospects. Did he give up one or two here and there like he did in the Luzardo trade? Absolutely. But he, for the most part, he's had to be conservative because he had very little to work with. And other teams saw that too. When they were trying to trade with the Phillies, there were not a lot of prospects that they were really that interested in. And so this year, I think you've had the advantage of a nice body of work with Dombrowski at the helm, with Preston Mattingly, who you just mentioned, running the farm system. That was his main job before he got promoted to general manager. And you're starting to see some of that talent rise up. The Phillies farm system, while it's certainly not one of the top ones in baseball, it's not a laughing stock anymore. And, you look at the top 100 prospect list, the Phillies were very well represented for the first time in several years. So the Phillies will have some pieces that maybe they can start dealing to make themselves better at the major league level that they just did not have last year.
Who of the guys who are, we'll call them tradable assets, Frank, you mentioned, especially in the minor leagues, who are you saying, not that you want to get rid of them, I'm not suggesting that, but who are you saying, look, I understand if you have to move this guy. To me, I've always said, Frank, before you jump in, to me, it's Painter and Miller. Those are the two I'm not trading at whatsoever because I feel there's way too much value in keeping them versus moving on. But who of the other guys do you look at and say, listen, I'm not saying the Phillies should trade this guy, but he is a guy who would be a tradable asset to get you something?
Well, Painter's probably off the table, as you said. I don't even know that Miller is completely untouchable anymore. I mean, I know he would be a nice piece that they could add internally to their lineup if he does make it to that point, but I wouldn't totally rule it out. I don't think it's likely, but I wouldn't totally rule it out. But, you definitely think of Justin Crawford. Maybe one of the reasons he hasn't been promoted yet. I know the one thing that people keep saying about Justin Crawford is his ground ball rate being very high, compared to other major leaguers. Well, maybe two, they're just trying to protect his value and leave him at AAA and let him put up insane numbers and thrive there before they call him up. So I wouldn't be shocked if someone like him at the trade deadline, either he goes in a deal or he comes up to the Phillies. Like maybe that's the moment that they figure out where he's going to fit into the mix. Mick Abel is one of their better assets to trade. I will say I kind of wonder if he hurt his value a little bit the last few outings. To me, when I was at the game on Wednesday after, I guess he pitched the early game, right? So I was watching him pitch, and clearly he was struggling to throw strikes. But the thing that really stuck out to me, even before he gave up those runs, and I totally went over my head. There's a stat that you'll see not in the mainstream, but on like the likes of Fangraphs, fielding independent pitching, meaning this is what just to put it lightly, this is what your ERA would be if your defense behind you wasn't spectacular. And that FIP number was 6.09. I noticed early in the game, and it looks like he finished up at 6.25. Now his ERA ended up over 5 after giving up those runs, but clearly you see that the Mick Abel needs some work. But that said, I think there's a lot of teams out there that are on the rebuild that aren't looking to, a team like the Diamondbacks, they probably want to get a piece that can help soon, but not immediately. Because I think the Diamondbacks will trade a few pieces, but then they want to be back in it next year or the year after that, when they get Corbin Burns back, et cetera, et cetera. But there'll be some teams that will want, like a Pittsburgh Pirates or Miami Marlins. Like I think they would love a Mick Abel to be in their rotation at some point. So I think that's another option for them to trade for meaningful pieces. And also they do have a lot of prospects on their top prospect list. And by the way, Mick Abel last year would have been irrelevant. So this kudos to the Phillies to sort of getting him back on track. But Eduardo Tait, the catching prospect, he's really their only catching prospect, but he's also many years away from the major leagues. So that's one of those things where maybe you could trade him to another organization that can be patient and wait for him to rise. Because the Phillies probably need another catcher between now and then. So and by the way, another name I wouldn't rule out having value to somebody, but Rafael Marchand. He's on the major league roster, but not getting a lot of opportunities. I think if the Phillies could trade him for someone that feels comfortable making him their everyday catcher, you can plug Garrett Stubbs as your backup and not worry a lot. I mean, I know that people have been critical of Stubbs for his batting average, but your backup catcher, you want a good catcher that can work with the pitchers well. So I think even he could be kind of a hidden asset on the roster. And there are other players on the Phillies major league roster. The likes of Johan Rojas. Might somebody be out there looking forward to maybe working with him and see if they can get his bat going? But I'm not. It's funny trying to go through the list of who the Phillies might trade. I mean, there's not a whole lot that jumps out at you if they're holding on to Painter, but I think those are the types of players that do get deals done in this day and age. And every trade deadline, I always am surprised how teams acquire players and not seem to use their best prospects. And so I think if Dave Dombrowski's aggressive, I think if he's creative. One thing the Phillies can do is take some money back, which is also part of a deadline deal. Jose Alvarado, of course, he hurt the team by getting suspended, but he gave them $6 million back to work with. So the Phillies going to spend that $6 million if they go into it, even just making the payroll be what it was before, then maybe this could work out for them. So there's prospects and money. Let's not forget that.
You mentioned Mick Abel. I want to hit on that with you. Frank Close, our Phillies insider from 97.3 ESPN.com, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN, hanging with Hennig, also live on the YouTube and X platforms in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. Frank, you mentioned about Abel. Do you agree with them sending him down into the minors?
I think they had to. It's so much of this game is mental, and I know that Mick Abel was someone who got into a rut last season. There was a point last season, even at AAA, they just kind of shut him down. They put him on the non-active list in AAA. You can do that a lot more freely in the minor leagues, just to give him a breather. I think it might be about that, because you don't want to hurt his confidence because of a few starts. I think what he has shown overall has been very impressive, and it almost doesn't make sense to put him in a rut that damages his confidence, that damages his trade value, And especially when you've got maybe what, 4 more starts before the trade deadline from that rotation slot. With the return of Aaron Nola eventually someday, and with Andrew Painter looming, I think, and even then, with the other 4 starters being what they are, you can deal with a 5th starter being Taijuan Walker, in my opinion. So, I think just for the to try to keep him on the up and up, they made that decision, and confidence means so much with young players. One thing about baseball, it's funny. If you think back to when we were younger and actually playing baseball, Josh, right? There's always the best kid on the team, right? And then he goes to high school, then he's the best kid on the team. Then he goes to college, is best kid on the team. Then through the minor leagues, breezes through. Well, then they hit adversity at some point, finally, right? So I think that's for some pitchers, especially that are that high performing. I think that and have that high talent ceiling, you do hit that wall at some point, and I think we're seeing that finally kind of kicking in last year and this year for Mick Abel, because before that he just breezed through everything.
I was never the best kid on the team, so I can confirm that here on 97.3 ESPN. Frank, you mentioned pitchers and confidence. Any concerns about Luzardo? Because ever since he was kept in that game on May 31st and he gave up all those runs, he has not been the same pitcher. He's been up and down. It's been like a roller coaster ride. And I thought his comments yesterday were interesting, where he said, hey, we made some adjustments because of tipping pitches. And I thought that was a very revealing comment by Luzardo, because it was kind of like, so you were tipping pitches when? How did that happen? How are they fixing it? Like, it's pretty hard to ask a guy to make adjustments in the middle of a season to what he's doing, right, Frank?
Yeah, but that's Major League Baseball,
Okay.
I mean, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, you come into the league as a rookie. Look at Don Brown, right? He's like the quintessential adjustment guy to think about, right? He came up, he had a bunch of success. The opposing side learned how to pitch to him, and then it was on him to figure out then how to hit against the league that figured out how to pitch to him, right? Same thing with the pitchers, right? So. The mechanical thing on the pitcher side, though, if I have heard people suggest that he was still tipping pitches even after they sort of publicly acknowledged that he might be tipping pitches. So that could still be a little bit of an issue, because, as you said, changing your mechanics on the fly is difficult, right? Because you get, being a pitcher in the major leagues, so much as your rhythm, right? And if you have to stop and think, okay, well, is my glove a little bit to the right, or is my hand a little bit to the left? As you're trying to figure out how you're throwing your next pitch, it could sort of interrupt. So, or if you start cruising, you might slip into your old ways. So, but Luzardo, one thing I did hear about Luzardo, someone say, is he in sort of his dead arm phase? Sometimes pitchers hit in the middle of a long season. That remains to be seen. But I think that. I think the fact that he was able to rebound after his first 2 rough starts, I don't think all's lost. He's not the dominant Cy Young track pitcher that he seemed to be on in the beginning, but I still think he's really good, and he'll probably work through a lot of that stuff. If it's a little bit of a dead arm, that's normal. That's the type of thing that people eagerly look towards the All-Star break for, and to try to have a reset, but. He's not somebody that really concerns me a whole lot, personally.
He's Frank Close, our Phillies insider from 97.3 ESPN.com, at Frank Close with a K on the Twitter X platform. And, of course, the Phillies mailbag every Tuesday is where he answers all of your questions out there with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Frank, appreciate you jumping on today. Great conversation. 3 weeks to the deadline. I'm sure we're going to have more of these conversations in the coming weeks. Take care, my man.
Hey, looking forward to it, Josh.
Josh Henning over here in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We will hit on the Phillies lineup coming on the other side, as well as more of your thoughts and comments. I see DK watching on the YouTube stream. I also see text coming in from Johnny G in Ocean City, as well as Thea in Mays Landing. All your messages and more coming up next. Hanging with me, Josh Hennig, on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And as always, we are streaming live on the YouTube and X platforms in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios at Josh Hennig.
Listen up. The soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
Shop 4th of July savings at the Home Depot right now and get up to 40% off, plus up to an extra $600 off select appliances with free delivery, like Samsung. From all-in-one washer dryers to smart refrigerators, upgrade to tech you can trust with Samsung appliances. The Home Depot has what you need to simplify your routine. Don't miss 4th of July appliance savings at the Home Depot. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $396 or more. Offer valid June 18th through July 9th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Looking to shine this summer? It's the event you've been waiting for. Robert's Fine Jewelers in Northfield is holding their annual half-off sale next week, July 8th through the 12th. For 1 week only, everything in the entire store will be half off. That's right, half off stunning diamond rings, diamond necklaces, diamond earrings, and so much more. For 5 days only, treat yourself or someone special to timeless luxury at unbeatable prices. Only at Robert's Fine Jewelers. Shop with interest-free financing. Robert's Fine Jewelers. When it's half off, it goes fast. RobertsFineJewelers.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
People will come, Ray.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
People will most definitely come.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios here on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, the Phillies lineup is pretty predictable today. Okay, let's be honest. Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Bohm, Castellanos, Real Muto, Nick Lodolo, left-handed pitcher for the Reds. So you get Sosa in the lineup for Stott, Kemp in left field for Kepler, and Rojas in center for Marsh. So this is your lineup until further notice. Whenever there's a left-handed pitcher out there, this is going to be the lineup. And I don't hate the lineup necessarily. I don't think it's a bad lineup. I just think that at some point you're not winning a championship when your lineup is Otto Kemp, Edmundo Sosa, and Johan Rojas as your 7, 8, 9 hitters. I know what some of you out there are saying. Well, what team has great 7, 8, 9 hitters? Listen, you can't name a team that won a championship that had that underwhelming of a 7, 8, 9 guy. I go back to the Yankees teams that won the World Series in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? Scott Brosius was the 9 hitter. He was a huge part of that team's success in the postseason, right? He was a clutch guy. You go back to the Phillies when they won the World Series in 2000 and got back again in 2009. Shane Victorino, Jason Worth, these were clutch guys. They had clutch moments, right? You got to have guys in your lineup that you look at and they're not liabilities. I'm not saying everyone needs to be an all-star, but I just don't need liabilities. That's all. That's kind of how I look at it. So, all right, Phillies lineup, that is a lineup. Let's get to some of your messages right now coming in over on the text board. Let's get to I'm going to give the order they came in. So we'll get to DK and Thea in just a moment, but the first person to chime in, our question of the day. Sixers Summer League. Is it appointment viewing? Buddy of mine from high school texted me first thing this morning. I'm still drinking my coffee. We're checking out the cobwebs. Tonight, 9 p.m., ESPN. And I'm like, what's at 9 p.m.? And he says, come on, man. And I was like, Summer League? And he's like, yeah, exclamation points. So to me, Summer League is like MLB spring training. It's like NFL preseason. I'm going to watch it, but I'm not going to drop my whole life to watch it. I'll watch it as I'm doing other things. So Johnny G in Ocean City, thank you for chiming in. Hey, Josh, great show. I will watch paint dry before Sixers Summer League. Go Birds! That's from Johnny G in Ocean City. Well, Johnny, we will talk some more Eagles coming up in the next couple hours here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Rob Motti from the Associated Press will join us coming up at 2:25. But, yeah, I'm not going to go as far as Johnny G say it's like watching paint dry. But I do understand, Johnny, where you're coming from. It's the idea that when you look at the Summer League, there's maybe 10 to 20% of the players ever get to the NBA. They just need bodies out there for the Summer League. That's basically what it is. So I'm closer to Johnny G than definitely my buddy who texted me this morning. DK chimes in on the YouTube side. He says, I'm curious if Topper has thought more about Ranger to the closer role. If Painter and Abel can roll in the second half, I think it needs to be a conversation. Well, right now, I think that Ranger DK is probably going to stay in the starting rotation. As of right now, I don't think there's a scenario for the rest of this season where you can not have Wheeler, Sanchez, Suarez in the starting rotation. I think the key is going to be, if you're the Phillies, right, what do you do with the other two spots? We're not even fully sure if Andrew Painter is still coming up. I think the Phillies want him to come up at some point, but I think that right now they're not 100% sure because of his control issues with his slider. Mick Abel's an interesting conversation. Do we have a conversation at some point about Mick Abel being asked to go to the bullpen, right? Again, I don't know if that's the right idea, but I think it's worth having the conversation. Nola's stuff doesn't translate to coming out of the bullpen. So then you're left with Luzardo. Do we look at Luzardo as a part of this rotation the rest of the year, or do we look at him as a guy who you might need to ask to sacrifice for the team to go to the bullpen? For right now, my working theory is going to be the Phillies are going to send Abel down to the minors, rebuild his confidence, and then when Nola comes back, they'll figure out the bullpen. But I just don't know if Ranger to closer is the best idea, only because of the fact that, let's be realistic, DK, he's so good as a starter right now. Why would you take him out of the starting rotation? You want to weaken one part to strengthen another. Thea from Mays Landing chimes in at 609-403-0973 on the text board. Says, hey, Josh, hoping my Phillies turn things around. Just hoping Dombrowski makes significant moves to strengthen this team. The bullpen and the 7 through 9 hitters need to be improved. That's from Thea and Mays Landing. Thea, I agree 100%. The bullpen needs at least one more arm. They need one more guy that when you bring him in, the problem is the Phillies don't have a guy that puts fear into other teams right now. Without Jose Alvarado, they don't have that guy that, like, for example, to me, I would love to see the Phillies go out and get a guy like Aroldis Chapman from the Red Sox or someone of that ilk, where someone who's at the caliber of when they come into the game, it's lights out. It's what's coming. You need to have somebody coming out of that bullpen who is not named Kerkering, Strom, or Romano. Because when that guy comes in, he elevates everybody else. Right now, you have a lot of guys who are above average to good to solid, but they're not elite. You need at least one guy in that bullpen who's going to come in and just throw lasers at people. Just, strike them out. The threat of the heater, the threat of the wipeout pitch. The 7 through 9 hitters, I think it's going to be a little more difficult. You heard Frank Close talk about it, that this organization, they seem to acknowledge the bullpen issue. They don't seem to acknowledge the hitting issue. And for whatever reason, this organization seems to be content with the hitters as of right now. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Hang with Hennig. Hour number 2 coming up next on 97.3 ESPN.
We all love to slip on an easy pair of flip-flops in the summer because they're comfortable and quick. Experts say they're okay to wear while we're walking on the beach or around the pool, but they're not our best choice for extensive walking, like something we do on the boardwalk or when we're shopping. Unlike sneakers or sturdy shoes, standard flip-flops have no arch support, heel cushion, or shock absorption, and they can lead to foot pain, tendonitis, or other foot conditions. And we all know when our feet hurt, everything else hurts as well. So limit sandals or flip-flops to a short trip and opt for sturdier shoes with an arch support and heel cushion when you're taking longer walks. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
ACUA's Valet Collection Service is making summer living easier for Brigantine, Longport, Margate, and Ventnor residents. ACUA's collection crews will place your containers on the curb and return them to your home. Sign up for the affordable service at acua.com/valet.
Lowe's knows how to set off your July 4th with savings. Right now, buy one, get one free on select one-coat coverage interior paint via Visa gift card rebate. Plus, get 2 select 2 or 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals for just $10. Hurry, these July 4th deals won't last long. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for more details.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure, dewy skin. Terrific.
Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare.
Wow. With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit
get tired of the stings that just will never come out.
Going down in a real strange.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean.
Downy rinse and refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
This is South Jersey's sports leader, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City.
Finally! This is Hanging with Hennig. I have friends everywhere. On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity. Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Hour 2, Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. We got more Phillies and Eagles talk still coming up on the show. Rob Motti from the Associated Press. He will join us coming up at 2:25 today. Don't forget, I want to thank, as always, my great sponsors. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmore, the best sports bar in South Jersey. Also great live entertainment every weekend. I was over there this week. Band was on the stage. Beautiful night outside. Crazy busy out there, but always a good time at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora. Also, Boxing Insider Promotions presents the summer boxing event of the season. 3 New Jersey fighters, 2 Philly fighters, and more, all in action July 25th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com for the summer boxing event of the summer season. Boxing Insider Promotions presents at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. And also, I want to say a thank you to Clement Performance Method in Egg Harbor Township for their support for Hanging with Henning on 97.3 ESPN. And as always, we are live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch Virtual Studios. If you did not catch the beginning of the show here on 97.3 ESPN, you can also go back and watch the full show on YouTube and X. We asked at the top, the question of the day is Sixers Summer League appointment viewing? I told the story in the first hour of the show. Buddy of mine texted me first thing this morning. No one else had texted me this morning. He was the first person in my notifications. And he literally said to me, and again, I'm not giving his name because he has not given me permission to blast him by name on the radio, but I'm still going to bring it up. All he said to me was 9 p.m. tonight, ESPN, with 5 exclamation points. And when I asked him what was at 9 p.m., he told me, I'm disappointed in you, to which I replied, Summer League, ? And then he says, Utah tonight. In Vegas, they play Spurs and Mavs. And I went on to try to explain to him, he didn't like my answer very much. To me, I view Sixers Summer League in the same mold as I would an Eagles preseason game or a Phillies spring training game. It's not appointment viewing. It's not I have to drop everything I'm doing and get up there and watch the game. I'm not putting my entire life on hold for a Sixers Summer League game. Now, I may go to a place like yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora, have something to eat, have a drink with some people, and then there's the game be on the TV. I'm like, oh, game's on TV. Cool, right? I may be at home doing something, and I might just flip it on the TV and just have it on while I'm, I don't know, cooking or doing laundry or something. But when it comes to exhibition games, which is what the NBA Summer League is, I don't view it as appointment viewing. And so far, everyone has chimed in so far, whether on the text board at 609-403-0973, whether it is on the YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. We are live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch Virtual Studios. Everyone seems to agree with me, which is They either have no interest or they have casual passing interest, like I do. And I love the way that, because Jeff from Summers Point gets it, okay? He said it in the last hour. He said, I'd like to see VJ Edgecombe for a bit. Same. I want to see Edgecombe. I want to see Broom. But it's not, I have to put myself in front of the TV and shut out the world to watch this game. Because it's an exhibition game. I feel like, and I'm not trying to put my buddy in this category, but I feel like the person who treats Summer League that intensely is probably the same person who watches an Eagles preseason game and gets overexcited about a wide receiver who never makes the team. Like, I remember, 2016, 2017, when the Eagles had Paul Turner, the receiver, and every Eagle fan was like, you got to keep this guy. This guy's amazing. And then he didn't make the team. And then he hasn't caught on anywhere else since, right? Now, there are scenarios where an exhibition game can lead you to have a more positive attitude toward a player. For example, I remember that when you first saw Tyrese Maxey on the court, there was a part of you that said, okay, I see why the Sixers drafted this guy. There was a moment when you first saw Ben Simmons in Summer League where you said, okay, I get it. Number one first round pick, number one overall. I totally get it. I see why they drafted this guy. If you go back even further, I remember the first time Iguodala had a Sixers uniform on after they drafted him in the first round. And there's a part of you that said, okay, I totally see it. I get it. I understand it. But when it comes to exhibitions, I'm measured about it. Yes, in some ways, guys like Corey Clement and Greg Ward, they have earned playing time and opportunities because of what they did in NFL preseason. But I will never be the guy who projects out what a guy does in an exhibition game into what they could do in the regular season, because I still remember Scott Kingery. I still remember the disappointment of Markelle Fultz. I still remember all the other players who they looked great in certain scenarios. Sam Bradford being perfect in the preseason, right, for the Eagles as a quarterback. None of those guys translated. So for me, Sixers Summer League, I'm intrigued, not appointment viewing. At some point in 24 hours, I have other things to do. Okay? Am I going to watch it? Sure. Am I going to sit there and put my entire life on hold to see VJ Edgecombe and Janai Broom play for the Sixers? No. You guys let me know how you feel. 609-403-0973, your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. As always, we are live on my YouTube and X platforms at Josh Hennig in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. Now, back to the Phillies for a moment. One of the points that Frank Close brought up in the last hour that I thought was very interesting, that I want to kind of recycle for all of you out there to have a conversation about as we hang with me, Josh Hennig, here on 97.3 ESPN. He brought up the point about how the Phillies organization has acknowledged and they will get a bullpen arm. But Frank also said that he doesn't think this organization looks at the lineup the way the rest of us do. And I think that's a huge problem. Because unless they just don't want to publicly eviscerate this team, it seems to me like the organization is in denial. It seems to me like the organization does not understand that the fan base looks at this team, this roster, and has a bit of consternation. You go back to the Astros games, right? When they only scored 1 run over 3 games. You go back to before that, when they lost those 2 out of 3 to the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto. You go back even further, when they struggled to score runs the last time they played the Braves in Citizens Bank Park. There is a bit of PTSD when it comes to this team. And the fact that the Dave Dombrowski, Preston Mattingly front office don't, for lack of a term, acknowledge it. They're not aware of it. That this fan base saw this team fail not once, not twice, but 3 times in the postseason because of the hot and cold nature of this lineup. And then when you only score 1 run in a series in Houston against the Astros, when your pitching staff pitched elite for 3 straight days, when you score 13 runs one game and then only score 3 runs the next 2 games in Atlanta. Those are just 2 examples of why Philly fans look at this team like Thea and Mays Landing and others, and they say, we need to improve the lineup. We need to make the lineup better. But the problem is, as Frank Close pointed out in the last hour here on 97.3 ESPN, the Phillies know they need to improve the bullpen. But they don't seem to think it is as urgent for them to improve the lineup. And that is a huge problem. Because I don't know about you guys, but a lineup that has Otto Kemp and Max Kepler platooning, Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh platooning, and Edmundo Sosa and Bryson Stott in a alternating role, left-handed, right-handed situation where each guy gets playing time. I don't think those players are good enough to offset the reality that Nick Castellanos is a boomer bust player. He is hot or cold. JT Realmuto, he has been inconsistent. Alec Boehm has his moments, but how reliable do you feel he is? And Bryce Harper, this whole situation with his wrist, medical experts, the Dr. David Schows, the Dr. Stefania Bells, and others, they have all said this sounds like tendonitis. And if it is tendonitis, that is a roller coaster ride. Because anybody who's ever dealt with tendonitis in any form, your elbow, your wrist, your knees, your ankles, any sort, you understand that that is I got my good days, I got my bad days. Does that diminish what Bryce Harper is the rest of this season and the rest of his career? You heard Frank Close mention it earlier today on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. He said, hey, Bryce Harper now is entering the second half of that long-term deal he signed. He's not getting any younger. The window is now for this team. To me, it's not about if the team is good enough. It's about doing whatever it takes to win. And you know what? I mean, I say I would trade everyone except for Painter and Miller. Frank Close said it that they might consider trading Aiden Miller if the right deal comes along. Well, frankly, if you're willing to, no pun intended, if you're willing to trade Aiden Miller, who all the experts say that he is like the biggest prospect in the Phillies organization since Mike Schmidt, hitting prospect, that you're willing to trade away a potential future Hall of Famer which the Phillies have done before, might I remind you. If you're willing to do that, you better be getting a guy who's going to insert right into that lineup right now. A left fielder, a center fielder, a second baseman. You better be acquiring somebody who walks in if you're trading Aiden Miller. Phillies history has too many incidents of trading away a guy maybe when you didn't have to. Ryan Sandberg was in the Phillies organization. They traded him to the Cubs. He became a Hall of Famer. Scott Rowland was a up-and-coming elite star for this team, and they had to move on from him because him and Larry Boa couldn't get along, and they chose Boa over Rowland. Although there are still some people who think they should have never fired Terry Francona. But we keep it going here. This organization has had elite hitters in the past in the minor leagues. This is also the same organization that kept Don Brown. It didn't work out. I'm a little concerned that Aiden Miller becomes the next Sandberg or Rowland if you move on from him, with the way people like the Jason Starks and the Tim Kirchens and the Keith Laws and all the guys who they're baseball experts. They know the game in and out. They talk to people who know the game in and out. And if those people say Aiden Miller is as good as you think he is, you better be trading him for a stud. A guy who slides in immediately. The problem is, I don't know if that player exists right now. Now, we have 3 weeks to the trade deadline. Things can change. But if I look at the teams that are currently out of it, right, the teams that are, shall I call it, the clearest that they are not in the postseason race at this point. The Rockies don't have that player. The Nationals don't have that player. The Pirates have a couple of those players, but I don't think the Pirates are trading those guys. There's speculation out there that the Braves, if they keep sliding, that they will unload some of their players. But I don't foresee the Braves trading the division. And do you want to trade Aiden Miller to your division rival and have him haunt you for the rest of his career? Let's go to the American League. The White Sox don't have that stud player. The A's have a couple of those players, but are they really going to trade those guys? I don't foresee it. I think the Athletics, Mike Gill has brought this up during the week on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, and I agree with him on this position. I think the Athletics are trying to keep certain players on their team, so when they move to Vegas, they have some names to put on the marquee. So guys like Jacob Wilson, Brent Rooker, I think they're trying to keep those guys. I don't think they want to trade them. Orioles are interesting because the Orioles are a cheap organization who may want to move on from some guys. But the Orioles' best players, I don't think they're trading them. I think the Orioles are a team that trades a guy like Cedric Mullins. I don't think they're trading any of their stud players, right? They're not trading Gunnar Henderson or Jackson Holliday or Adley Rushman. They're not trading their best players. But they'll trade a Cedric Mullins. You're not trading Aiden Miller for Cedric Mullins. You're not trading Aiden Miller for Ryan O'Hearn, okay? You're trading Aiden Miller for an elite player. And I think the problem is that the Phillies, hopefully they know the difference. I hope. Let's check in on the text board, 609-403-0973. Also, we are live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig. Georgia Galloway chimes in. He says, I know you can't put your buddy on blast, but based on this texter's unironic excitement over Summer League and a statement like, you disappoint me when you didn't reciprocate. I can't picture a scenario where it was somebody not named. It was not Mike Gill, George Galloway. It was not Mike Gill. Because Mike Gill and I didn't go to high school together. I can confirm Mike Gill did not wake up this morning and text me first thing, 9 p.m. tonight, ESPN. No, this was a buddy of mine I went to high school with. Mike Gill is older than me, for those who don't know. So, no, George Galloway, I can confirm it was not Mike Gill. I'm not putting him on blast because he does not work at 97.3 ESPN. And he is not texting me. I just double-checked. As of 1:20 on Saturday, July 5th, he is still not texting me back. So, I'm going to assume as of right now, he is not prepared to go on blast. But George Galloway, I appreciate you chiming in. I can confirm Mike Gill also does not have that type of energy, okay? Mike Gill is probably one of the most laid-back, laissez-faire individuals I've ever met. There's never been a point in time where I've talked to Mike Gill on the phone, texted with him, been with him in the person. I've been every day for the last 10 years now in the studio. There's never been a day where Mike Gill was like, tonight, 9 p.m., ESPN, with that kind of energy. Not him. Mike Gill is more of like a, hey, Summer League tonight. Watch? Like, he's way more laid back about that kind of stuff. My buddy's excitement for Summer League. I told Mike Gill this last week here on 97.3 ESPN on the Sports Bash. When I was producing for Mike, I told him, I said, there is one person I know who gets more excited about Summer League than Mike Gill, and it's this friend of mine. We've been friends since high school. I know the guy very well. He is easily the biggest basketball junkie I personally know. Nobody touches this guy, George Galloway. There is no one that is like my buddy. Hopefully we're still friends. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Coming up on the other side, I want to get to some Eagles talk because there were some comments made by Brian Baldinger this week from NFL Network that I thought were very interesting about the Philadelphia Eagles. Plus, don't forget Rob Motti from the Associated Press. He will join us coming up in about an hour from now. All that and more still to come. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See you out. And as always, we are live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios at Josh Hennig.
Sunday morning in the locker with Billy Schwein, my locker room youth movement, producer Danny Ryan and the intern Andrew Leeds join me in the studio. We will recap the Phillies-Reds Saturday night action. Every Sunday during the baseball season, we go on the mound with former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green, brought to you by Blitz's Market of Ocean City. Tommy talks Phillies baseball and previews Sunday's game. The Sixers start Summer League play, and we will react. All that and more. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Your go-to spot at the Jersey Shore to watch sports is also the Can't Miss Summertime Hangout for live music and great times in South Jersey. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora features The Yard, with an outside bar, TVs, and live music on stage every weekend. So bring your friends to cheer on your favorite team, watch the sunset on the back deck, and make new summer memories in The Yard. You can do it all at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to learn about upcoming events and specials all summer long at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Flounder season is gearing up, and the one stop for everything you need is the bait and tackle shop at Utch's Marina in historic Cape May. Come to Utch's for a huge selection of flounder spinning and conventional rods and combos for the boat or the surf, with top name brands available like Penn, Tsunami, Ocean Max, Shimano, and more. Only at Utch's Marina, your home away from home at the foot of the bridge in Cape May. Check out the half-off sale going on right now. Live bait, frozen bait, rods and reels, lures too. Visit Utch's today. Bait and tackle shop open daily.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy in the rinse change. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
4th of July savings are here at the Home Depot with up to 40% off, plus up to an extra $600 off select appliances with free delivery like GE Profile. Simplify your routine with GE Profile appliances, from refrigerators with autofill pitchers and multiple dispensing options to all-in-one washer-dryer combos that can wash and dry a full load in under 2 hours. Shop 4th of July savings on top brand appliances now at the Home Depot. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $396 or more. Offer valid June 18th through July 9th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Citizens, since we each upgraded to Xfinity in our homes, the Wi-Fi has been booming. It's fair to say our town has officially become a boomtown.
Mayor, will I be able to drop into multiplayer gaming battles with low lag?
The lag won't be an issue, but your questionable skills may be.
And what if I have hundreds of devices on the Wi-Fi? Purely hypothetical.
Seems like a lot, but sure, hundreds of devices all booming together with the Xfinity Gateway. Yes, friends and neighbors, with Xfinity, the Wi-Fi is booming.
The Wi-Fi isn't the only thing that's booming. Now get the most reliable Wi-Fi and our best-in-class equipment for one consistent price for 5 years guaranteed. All in. Plus, get unlimited data included and no annual contract. All with the 5-year price guarantee from Xfinity. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. New residential customers only. Select plans only. Xfinity Gateway with XFi Complete required for unlimited data except in certain areas. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Actual speeds vary.
Lowe's knows how to set off your July 4th with savings. Right now, buy one, get one free on select one-coat coverage interior paint via Visa gift card rebate. Plus, get two select 2 or 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals for just $10. Hurry, these July 4th deals won't last long. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for more details.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Looking to shine this summer? It's the event you've been waiting for. Robert's Fine Jewelers in Northfield is holding their annual half-off sale next week, July 8th through the 12th. For 1 week only, everything in the entire store will be half off. That's right, half off stunning diamond rings, diamond necklaces, diamond earrings, and so much more. For 5 days only, treat yourself or someone special to timeless luxury at unbeatable prices. Only at Robert's Fine Jewelers. Shop with interest-free financing. Robert's Fine Jewelers. When it's half off, it goes fast. RobertsFineJewelers.com.
Now back to Hanging with Henning on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios here on 97.3 ESPN. We will get back to the text board, 609-403-0973, as well as the YouTube comments at Josh Hennig. And, of course, we are streaming live, as always, on the X platform. But I want to get back to the Eagles because we are only a couple of weeks away from the players reporting for training camp. And I thought a conversation that was had this week on the Green Light podcast hosted by former Eagle Chris Long was very interesting. So he had Brian Baldinger on. Now, for those who didn't hear the podcast, Brian Baldinger was with Chris Long at one of the, so they do tight end with all the tight ends, Travis Kelce and all those guys. Well, they also have a sack summit every year. It's hosted by Von Miller. So Chris Long came out, Brian Baldinger was there, and they were having a conversation about the best defensive lines in the NFL. And I thought Brian Baldinger and Chris Long's conversation about the D-line was interesting because of the fact that when we talk about the Eagles, one of the conversation points has been how they replace Josh Sweat, how they replace Milton Williams, what are they going to do with no, Nakobe Dean to start the year, because he's expected to start the year because of his still recovering from the injury. The Eagles have questions on defense, and they're totally understandable questions, by the way. They're not irrelevant. They are valid questions, okay? You have two very young players who are expected to be among the main players on this team, Nolan Smith, Jelix Hunt. You bring in guys like Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari, low risk, high reward kind of guys. Brandon Graham retires, so you're losing a guy in the locker room. You're losing guys on the field. But Brian Baldinger said on the Greenlight Pod that the Eagles' defense is still, the defensive line is still one of the best. Take a listen.
Even though the Eagles lost Josh Sweat, and they lost Milton Williams, I still think they're going to be really good. I think this Ty Robinson from Nebraska, I think he's going to be a really good, a rotational player for him. Nolan Smith came on, and he's a problem. I think he's going to be, his speed is an issue. And then, he's getting better, and playing next to Jalen's going to help.
Couple of things there he said that were very interesting. Number one, you heard both guys mention about Ty Robinson. Ty Robinson may go down as the steal of this draft because the Eagles got a guy who, let's be realistic. If Ty Robinson's combine measurables, we'll call it, were a little different, and if he didn't play in Nebraska, and let's say he played at Texas or Georgia or Miami or one of those schools that gets a lot of big-time recognition because of the talent that are on those teams. If Ty Robinson played for one of those teams, and if he had better combine numbers, he would not have been a day 3 draft pick. Ty Robinson is the replacement for Milton Williams. And I think both him and Ojomo, those guys are going to be a part of this rotation. Both of those guys are going to be a part of that. Who is the guy next to Jalen Carter rotation? I don't think Jordan Davis is. Nothing against Jordan Davis. He's done a great job at losing weight, getting in better shape, and I applaud him for that. Apparently he loves Peloton now. Good for him. But I don't ever think Jordan Davis is going to be a 75 to 80% of the snaps guy. I think he's always going to be in that 60, 65% range. So someone's got to play those other snaps. And I think that's going to be guys like Moro Ojomo and or Ty Robinson. And I thought that's a great point by them because Robinson, he is Philly tough. He is a grinder. He is hard-nosed. He will stop the run. He is an underrated pass rusher. He is a guy who he will outwork the opposing offensive lineman. In a league where O-line play has regressed over the last 15 years, a guy like Ty Robinson is a nightmare for half the league. Because if you are double and triple teaming Jalen Carter, that means you are leaving single assignments on guys on that line. That's why Jalen Carter is so important to this conversation, by the way. That's the other name he mentioned. Jalen Carter is a once-in-a-generation talent, okay? Football history is full of elite defensive ends, edge rushers. But football history is not full of elite D tackles. You can name the great impactful defensive tackles and not go past 10 in football history. Now that there's only 10 Hall of Fame D tackles, but I mean, men who change the entire game plan for the other team. Guys like Aaron Donald, guys like Warren Sapp, guys like John Randall, guys like Joe Green to the Steelers back in the 70s. There's a handful of dudes, right, who, if you're an opposing team and you wake up in the morning and you say, oh man, we got to stop this guy. And again, there's been a lot of very, very good, high-level, Pro Bowl, All-Pro D tackles over the years. I'm not, pushing aside Fletcher Cox. I'm not pushing aside, a guy like Albert Hainsworth in his prime with the Titans, right? I'm not pushing aside a Dan Wilkerson. I'm not putting aside these other guys. I'm just saying that Jalen Carter, his potential is to be the Donalds, the Sapps, the Randalls, the Joe Green type player. And so, and by the way, Fangio said that this summer at OTAs and minicamp. He said that Jalen Carter hasn't even fully touched his potential yet. Think about that. So now, that's part of the reason why the Eagles have an elite D line, because everyone benefits from Jalen Carter being the center of attention. Everyone benefits from Jalen Carter being the guy that draws all the attention. Jalen Carter is the guy who every team plans for. Every team has to figure out how to slow that guy down. Jalen Carter is the game wrecker. He is, to use movie terms, right? Okay? He is the guy who will end it all for you, okay? On a defense. He's Darth Vader. He's Thanos. He's whatever villain you want to come up with from a movie. He's that guy for the opposing team. So everyone benefits from that. Nolan Smith, J.L.X. Hunt, Ty Robinson, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo. Everybody benefits from Jalen Carter, which is part of the reason why Brian Baldinger went on to mention these two names on the Green Light podcast about another reason why the Eagles' defensive line is still going to be one of the best in the NFL in the 2025 season.
They picked up Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari. Both of them they've had times, and they both have had injuries for sure. They also have had, some days where they were pretty good players out there. And maybe within the rotation, I think the Eagles can still be, pretty good right now.
Ojulari and Uche are very interesting guys because they both have shown flashes of having borderline elite production. But they both have dealt with injuries, as Brian Baldinger mentioned. If you don't play Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche high snap, not asking them to go out there 70, 80% of the defensive snaps, and you put them in a rotation, I think they could be very productive. I think Ojulari is the better of those two, not just because he went to Georgia, but because I think he has shown the ability to be a 3-down defensive end, a guy who can stop the run and pass rush. I think Josh Uche is more of a pass rusher than a run stopper. I just haven't seen a lot from him to suggest that at the NFL level that he is a guy that you can depend on in that role, down in and down out. I think if Philadelphia, for example, if they're in a 1st and goal at the 5-yard line and they got to put 5 linemen on the line, Josh Uche is never going to be in that conversation. Okay? I think that the way this team is currently constructed, if you got to go 5 down linemen on a heavy run formation, like if you're facing the Ravens with Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs with the Packers, or one of those running backs who a team will depend on in the on the 1st and goal at the 3-yard line, your D line is not going to include Josh Uche and might not include Jalen Hunt either. Actually, your line is probably going to be in the middle. Jordan Davis, flanked by Jalen Carter, Ty Robinson, along with Azeez Ojulari. Because I think Ojulari is the kind of athlete that I actually think Ojulari has the chance to be the starter across from Nolan Smith week 1 of the season. Ojulari's got the kind of potential. He's got the kind of physical ability to be that defensive end, that edge rusher, that guy who seals the outside. Because remember, you go back to his years when he was healthy with the Giants. People look at his sack numbers. I totally get that. It's what people do. But I like the solo tackles. The fact that his rookie year, he had 29 solo tackles. I like the fact that this is a guy who his 2 best years in New York, he had 7 and 8 tackles for loss. This is a guy who can tackle people. I'm not saying he's a great run stopper, but he is more than capable. So I think the way this team is going to be constructed is you are going to see Ojulari and Uche part of the rotation with Jalen Hunt. And as Brian Baldinger mentioned, you're bringing in 2 guys who have ability and experience, and that is enough to offset the loss of Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham on the edge, because you're bringing in 2 guys who are not completely green. You're bringing in 2 guys who have experience. They've been there. They know what it takes to play in the NFL, and they can be valuable pieces. Finally, from the Greenlight Pod, Chris Long talking about the Eagles, D-line, Jalen Carter, and more. This is from the Greenlight Podcast.
The Eagles got a lot to replace, but when you have Jalen Carter inside, you're in good shape. And maybe it's like a Jomo who takes that step next year and becomes the next guy to get the bag or something like that. And the Eagles have proven, not with 100% hit rate, because certainly they've had their signings like the one that didn't work out last year. They had their Bryce Huff signing last year, which didn't work out famously. They also brought my buddy Robert Quinn in at one point. That didn't really work out late in his career. But for the most part, they're hitting on things up front. Howie's hot right now, so you ride the hot hand.
That's the key part of it, is 2 points he made. The Jalen Carter thing, as I mentioned earlier, he is the centerpiece. He is the key. He is the engine of that D-line, that defensive front. And so with Carter out there, 3 downs, playing all the snaps that he does, it takes less pressure off of everyone else. And it gives everyone else more freedom to do what they do. The Bryce Huff thing is an interesting point by Chris Long, that, Howie Roseman has not gotten every single move right. Bryce Huff, the signing last year, didn't work out. You had to trade him to get rid of him and some of that money. You traded for Robert Quinn a couple years ago. Didn't work out. Wasn't anywhere what you would hope for in terms of production. So Howie has not gotten every move right. But Howie is the hot hand, okay? It's like in basketball. I don't need you to go 10 for 10 from 3 for me to say that you're on fire. You go 7 for 10. That's pretty amazing from 3. Klay Thompson, one of the reasons why the Warriors won some of their championships was because Klay Thompson had those monster games, right? Where he was going, 8 for 13 or 7 for 10 from 3, and he was just on fire, right? So same thing with Howie Roseman. I don't need Howie to be 10 for 10. I just need him to be 8 for 10, 7 for 11. I need him to get a majority of the picks right, not just a couple of them. This isn't baseball, okay? You could be a Hall of Famer and only make 3 out of every 10 hits. You're a Hall of Famer. Other sports, you need to be around 50% or better. And even the best three-point shooters, they're between 35 and 45%. If Howie Roseman keeps hitting 6 out of 10, 7 out of 11, I think you got to keep trusting the guy. And I think what Howie has proven is that these low-risk, high-reward deals that he typically signs, they pan out more often than not. Look at Zach Baun last year. Zach Baun was far beyond what anyone expected of him. That was a low-risk, high-reward deal. You go back to 2017 when they gave Alshon Jeffrey that low-risk, high-reward contract. It paid off big time for Philadelphia. Now they made the mistake of giving him that guaranteed money maybe when they shouldn't have for the term that they did, because he did break down at the end of his Eagles tenure. But still, you got a Super Bowl out of it, right? And Alshon Jeffrey was a part of that success. Torrey Smith, low risk, high reward. I can keep going on. Mekhi Becton last year. These are the deals that Howie typically hits on. So, Uche, Ojulari, I trust that. And by the way, I mentioned Moro Ajomo and so did Chris Long. Ajomo is a guy that a lot of people think very highly of. Brandon Graham speaks very highly of Ajomo's work ethic. I've heard Andrew DeCecco on Football at 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, on Football at 4 with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash during the week. DeCecco, he is high on Moro Ajomo. There's a lot of smart football people who like that guy. And it's very possible that Milton Williams moving on opens the door for the next Milton Williams, which could be Ajomo and or Ty Robinson. This defensive front, it is not without talent. On the Green Lake Pod, Brian Baldinger and Chris Long both agreed. Eagles D-line, one of the top 5 in all of football. It makes you worry a little less about the defense going into this season. I get it. Josh Sweat, gone. Darius Slay, gone. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, gone. Orlin Burks had a role in the postseason last year. He's gone. Milton Williams, key player for the team last year. He's gone. I totally understand about Brandon Graham retires. He's not coming through that door. Play the Rick Pitino game. So-and-so ain't walking through that door. I get all these guys are no longer here. But I think the Eagles did a very good job at filling the voids of those guys. I like what I've heard about Sidney Brown this offseason. I love the draft of Drew Kukuba. Okay, I love the additions of Jihad Campbell in the draft, Ty Robinson. I think the Eagles have done a good job at filling the gaps. Could they maybe do a little more? Sure. I could see a scenario where maybe if Uche or Ojulari don't work out in camp, do you call Von Miller and be like, we need one more body up here? If there's an injury or an issue at safety with Brown, Akuba, McCollum, do you call Justin Simmons and, break glass in case of emergency? Those options are still out there. So I don't think even if the guys that you have don't work out the way you hope, that it's all hopeless for a Philadelphia defense that, by the way, second year of the Fangio defense, we know that guys like Zach Baun and Reed Blankenship are looking forward to playing this defense for a second year because they look at saying, hey, we had to learn the defense last year. Now we can grow the defense this year. So I'm not overly worried about the Eagles' defense going into this year. And I like what Brian Baldinger and Chris Long had to say about the Birds. Coming up at 2:25, we'll talk more NFL with AP senior NFL insider Rob Motti when he joins me here on Hanging with Hennig. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Stream and subscribe on YouTube at Josh Hennig, and you can check us out on X as well at Josh Hennig.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, clemicperformancemethod.com.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
Looking for the ultimate sports bar experience? Welcome to Ventnor Social, Down Beach's newest upscale sports bar. Watch every play on 27 big screen TVs with a state-of-the-art sound system that puts you right in the action. Grab a cold drink, savor American eats and fresh seafood, and don't miss their unbeatable lunch, happy hour, and dinner specials. Enjoy live music on the open-air deck, an arcade for the family downstairs, and video games that will level up your night. Ventnor Social on Ventnor Avenue. Visit their Facebook page for up-to-date info and specials.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
I thought people like me didn't get addicted to drugs. That's like saying people like me don't get sick. Just like anyone can get sick, anyone can struggle with addiction. And when you're struggling, there's no shame in getting help. I'm over the shame. I know who I am, and I'm in recovery for me.
Call 844-REACH-NJ. Talk to a counselor for confidential addiction help and see if you're eligible for no-cost treatment. 844-REACH-NJ. From the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Citizens, since we each upgraded to Xfinity in our homes, the Wi-Fi has been booming. It's fair to say our town has officially become a boomtown.
Mayor, will I be able to drop into multiplayer gaming battles with low lag?
The lag won't be an issue, but your questionable skills may be.
And what if I have hundreds of devices on the Wi-Fi? Purely hypothetical.
Seems like a lot, but sure, hundreds of devices all booming together with the Xfinity Gateway. Yes, friends and neighbors, with Xfinity, the Wi-Fi is booming.
The Wi-Fi isn't the only thing that's booming. Now get the most reliable Wi-Fi and our best-in-class equipment for one consistent price for 5 years guaranteed. All in. Plus, get unlimited data included and no annual contract. All with the 5-year price guarantee from Xfinity. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. New residential customers only. Select plans only. Xfinity Gateway with XFi Complete required for unlimited data except in certain areas. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Actual speeds vary.
Level up your summer projects with 4th of July savings on top brand cordless power tools from the Home Depot. Whether you're working on a fence, a planter box, or a new workbench, get the power and runtime you need with the Ryobi One Plus 18-volt 2 toolkit from the Home Depot for only $99, was $139. Get 4th of July savings on the cordless power you need to make summer projects easier than ever. Right now at the Home Depot.
The seafood, extraordinary. The value, tremendous. The sunsets, on the house. It's Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant. Dine indoors, on the deck overlooking the bay, or watch the game at Sliders Bar with a new baseball-themed sliders menu. Enjoy delicious seafood, including Yuri's famous all-you-can-eat crabs, tropical summer cocktails, and daily specials. Yuri's has a kids menu and an arcade. And next to Yuri's is the Boathouse Restaurant. 2 great ways to experience the Jersey Shore's best waterfront dining. Yuri's and the Boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood.
Now back to Hanging with Henning on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Bull is right. You are an ox,
And the moron.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Hello? Get back in the room.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Henning back here in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Hanging with Hennig being brought to you by my people over at Boxing Insider Promotions. Larry Goldberg, the New York Boxing Promoter of the Year, is back with his 5th boxing event at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Friday, July 25th, is where you can see 3 New Jersey up-and-coming fighters along with 2 Philadelphia up-and-coming fighters all in action. Of course, the slate includes undefeated heavyweight Bruce Seldon Jr. from Absegami High School, Philadelphia's super lightweight Dayan Butt, as well as Cali Box from Franklin Township, New Jersey, Christian Ortiz, the undefeated welterweight boxer from Philadelphia, and Pleasantville's own Julio Sanchez III. He'll return where he had his pro debut victory back in March at the Tropicana Showroom on Friday, July 25th, where you also can see a showdown for the WBC U.S. Junior Light Flyweight silver title on July 25th as Andy Dominguez from the Bronx takes on veteran Nicaraguan boxer Byron Rojas. So you can see not just some great local fighters in action, but the WBC U.S. Junior Light Flyweight silver title on the line Friday, July 25th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com for the boxing event of the summer season. You don't want to miss out. Friday, July 25th, Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Boxing Insider Promotions has got the boxing event of the summer. And, of course, we will be there with 97.3 ESPN that day. Great stuff by Larry Goldberg. As always, bringing boxing back to Atlantic City on a regular basis at the Trop. And, by the way, the last event in March, record turnout. It was incredible, the amount of people who came out to watch the fights. It was an incredible atmosphere, and I know a lot of those people will be back, so you do not want to miss out on this great boxing event. Friday, July 25th. Get your weekend started. And of course, 97.3 ESPN will be there. Sports Bash with Mike Gill will be broadcasting that afternoon leading up to the fights. I'll be there as well. So it's a big, big day for boxing in Atlantic City. All right, coming up on the other side, Phillies, Eagles, and we'll get back to the question of the day about the Sixers Summer League, all that and more. So to come, Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle, and streaming live as always on the YouTube and X platforms at Josh Hennig of the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Phillies. Gotta go against a lefty today with Dolo versus Suarez. Say of the Eagles with Rob Motti from the Associated Press coming up at 2:25.
Listen up. The soap you shower with? It's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
Hey, it's Chris Coleman, and I'm here with Brighton Richards from Apex East Roofing. Brighton, can you tell us who won your Patriot Roof Giveaway contest?
Hey, Chris. Yes, our winner was Corporal Anthony Cuthbert in Mays Landing, a veteran who served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He had major problems with his roof, some that he didn't even know existed. Go to apexeastroofing.com to see the video of the job being completed.
Get a price on your roof in 30 seconds at apexeastroofing.com.
If Old Spice Deep Sea Super Hydration Body Wash were music, what would it sound like? Start with the deep sounds of Old Spice's Ocean Waves.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
Participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Third hour of Hanging with Hennig, 97.3 ESPN, of course, coming up. 2:25, Rob Motti from the Associated Press will join me here on 97.3 ESPN. Get more into the Eagles and the NFL with him, as we are just a couple weeks away from players reporting to training camp. Plus, we got our question of the day about the Sixers Summer League. We'll re-hit that up in just a moment. Phillies back in action tonight. They've lost 6 of the last 10 games. Can they right the ship today? Ranger Suarez, Nick Lodolo, who is a left-handed pitcher, which means the Phillies lineup today, well, you're not getting that excited about it. I'm sorry. You're just not. Kemp, Sosa, Rojas. Although I will say, I do think some people out there seem to have a very big infatuation with Otto Kemp. I don't really understand it. Maybe it's a me problem. I don't understand the love affair people have with Kemp. I kind of think he's a nice player, but I'm not necessarily excited. I'm not like jumping up and down like, oh man, here's Otto Kemp, But I feel like the people who love Otto Kemp are the same Phillies sports fans who love the backup Eagles quarterback. It's like, whether that guy is AJ Feely or whether that guy is Coy Detmer, the love that Jeff Garcia got during his short stint here in Philadelphia, Nick Foles, all these guys, it's like the backup quarterback in Philadelphia is beloved, and the random guy from the minor leagues, like Otto Kemp, that guy, everybody loves him. It was who was another guy when he came up? I'm trying to think of another guy who people were just bonkers about when he came up, and he was a solid player, but he wasn't great from the minor leagues. People love the random dude in Philadelphia sports. You go to a city like Atlanta or a sports city like St. Louis. Maybe not St. Louis, not a good example, but Minnesota, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, New York. They're all about the star players. In Philadelphia, you have this great rotation of Ranger Suarez and Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez, but somebody out there will be like, let me tell you about the day I was at Michael Lorenzen's no-hitter. And they'll be wearing a Michael Lorenzen Phillies jersey. That's Phillies sports fan. You guys, some of you people, you love the random nobody more than anybody else. And then that's what the Otto Kemp love is. It's like he's the random dude. Because at the end of the day, what makes sports special, before we get back to the question of the day, here on Hanging with Henning on 97.3 ESPN. I think part of the reason why some of you out there look at the random guy and hold him in such admiration. I mentioned this before on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios, streaming live on YouTube and X platforms at Josh Hennig. The random guy is somebody that the Philly sports fan can identify with. There's a part of you that looks at the backup quarterback, that looks at the long snapper, right? You look at TJ McConnell. You look at Otto Kemp, and there's a part of you that like sees yourself in those guys, right? And the reason why you love those guys, the Corey Clements, right, who earned a roster spot after being an undrafted free agent. You look at the rando players, the backups, and you say, that could be me. I see myself in that guy. Vince Papale is a legend in the city of Philadelphia because he was one of you. And he walked onto the field and became an Eagle. A guy like Corey Clement, that dude is beloved to this day because he was a South Jersey guy and he was undrafted and he earned a roster spot and he helped the Eagles win a championship. You love that guy because he was one of you, right? Anyone who is like the underdog, Philly sports fans, we love those guys. It's just who we are, right? And I think Otto Kemp is kind of falling into that category where it's like he wasn't drafted, he wasn't highly regarded, he had to bounce back from injuries in college, he worked his way to the major leagues, and now he's here. And he looks like the guy who shows up at your house to fix your plumbing or fix your air conditioner, right? Like, he doesn't look like a baseball player necessarily. Despite people's hatred for him for some of his political views, the reality is that's one of the reasons why Curt Schilling was so loved. Curt Schilling did not look like an elite athlete. Okay? Vinnie Curry, these guys who are, they look like they could be your neighbor. Your Curt Schillings, your Vinnie Curry, Brandon Graham a little bit. Brandon Graham, BG now is a 2-time Super Bowl champion, but BG's just always happy. He's a good human being. Vinnie Curry, great human being. Curt Schilling, he doesn't have the body of like an elite athlete, but these guys are people you can identify with because you're like it's hard for the average person to see themselves in elite athletes. I don't just mean like the Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Mike Trout kind of athlete. I mean just even like Deshaun Jackson, Michael Vick. You admire those guys, but you can't aspire to be them. Right? Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson are two Philly athletes who are still beloved by groups of Eagle fans. But no one woke up and saw Deshaun Jackson or Michael Vick and they were like, yeah, he's like me. I'm like that guy. No, you look at that guy and you're like, dude, that guy's amazing. Because he's talented. You admire them. You can't aspire to be them. You see Nick Foles or Corey Clement win the championship and you're like, yeah, that guy is it. That guy gets me kind of deal. It's the reason why John Kruk is so beloved. Kruk, he's the guy that you want to go to the bar and have a beer with and watch a baseball game with. And then you hear him on the broadcast and you feel like you're watching the game with your buddy. Your buddy who just happens to be a former big leaguer. And Kruk doesn't think he's anything special. Kruk is not a guy who thinks that he's like, I was an all-star. I was one of the best hitters in baseball when I played. Like, he doesn't walk around with that kind of air about him. And people can identify with it because he's not in the greatest shape. He was a ball player. He was a hard worker who maximized his time in baseball, and he just walks and talks like a dude. Which brings us to the question of the day. So, we asked you in the first hour, I explained the question of the day. Are you looking forward to Sixers Summer League tonight, right? Some of you might not know the Sixers are playing their first Summer League game tonight at 9 p.m. on ESPN. I know that some of you don't know that because, as I explained in the first hour here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, a buddy of mine from high school who will remain anonymous unless he gives me permission to say his name, who has still not responded to my last text, which I am taking it as he does not want to be put on full blast. But he texted me first thing this morning before anyone else, 9 p.m. tonight, ESPN. And when I asked, what's tonight at 9 p.m., he told me, I'm disappointed in you. To which I sent him a message that said, Summer League, ? With a shoulder shrug, to which said he went on to tell me the Sixers' next 3 Summer League games. And I told him, I'm like, look, this is the message he hasn't responded to yet, by the way. He said, look, I told him, I should say, look, I look at Summer League the way I do Eagles exhibition games, Phillies spring training games, Flyers preseason games. I don't look at it as appointment viewing, to steal the term from Nick Earnshaw earlier in the locker room with Billy Schweim here on 97.3 ESPN. I don't view Summer League as appointment viewing. I view Summer League as I'll watch it, I'll consume it, I'm interested, but I'm not saying Sixers Summer League 9 p.m. with 5 exclamation points to anyone, ever. Because I've seen Summer League. I know that some of the best players in Summer League are not some of the best players in the NBA. Just because you play well in an exhibition game, Summer League, preseason, spring training, doesn't mean you're going to be a great player when it counts. I've seen Scott Kingery. I've seen Paul Turner. I've seen Sam Bradford. I've seen Ben Simmons. I've seen too many scenarios where a guy does well in exhibition and doesn't do well when the games matter. So for me, when I look at Summer League, I don't get excited. You guys tell me. So far, I've had Johnny G from Ocean City, Jeff from Summers Point and more, text in at 609-403-0973 and say they agree with me. Jeff from Summers Point called it a meh. Johnny G from Ocean City says like watching paint dry. I have not found a single person yet, aside from my buddy from high school who has not texted me back so far, who have said they are really looking forward to. They're gonna sit down. It's appointment viewing, 9 o'clock, in front of the TV, ESPN. They're watching that game. No one. I've gotten that from nobody. Except for him. So you guys let me know. Do you feel any differently? How do you feel about the Sixers Summer League today? Are you looking forward to it? Are you interested? Are you not interested? Let me know. It's the question of the day. 609-403-0973. Also live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios at Josh Hennig. Other topics we've been discussing throughout the day. Phillies losers 6 of the last 10. And as I said in the first hour, I'll bring it up again here on 97.3 ESPN's Hanging with Hennig. Hour 3 of the show coming up in about 10 minutes from now. Rob Motti from the Associated Press will join us. To me, the Phillies losing 6 of the last 10 is an example of this organization having a poorly constructed roster, and that poorly constructed roster manifesting into some of these losses. You can't tell me for 1 minute at all in any scenario, you'll never convince me that this team is good enough to win a championship as currently constructed. They scored 1 run against the Astros. Yesterday, Luzardo, he struggled. He admitted after the game, yeah, I'm working through some things. There's some mechanical issues that I'm working through. I'll get through it. But guess what? I put it out there yesterday. I think there might be something more going on here with Luzardo. At Josh Hennig on the Twitter X platform. I'll pull up the tweet again. All right? Jose Luzardo. You look at his first 11 starts with the Phillies. His first 11 starts with Philadelphia. Okay? This is a guy who was amazing. He allowed a total of 16 earned runs. In his last 7 starts, he's allowed 32. So in fewer starts, he has doubled the amount of earned runs that he has allowed. Now, I understand it's not all his fault. Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Johan Rojas, Brandon Marsh, Otto Kemp, Alec Boehm, they have all had misplays in the field behind him that have led to some of these runs. But that May 31st game, when they left him in the game to save the bullpen, was probably the moment that they ruined this guy's confidence. They messed him up. They wrecked him mentally. Sports is so much more about confidence than it is about ability. Because when you get to the professional level, everyone has ability. Everyone is talented. Everyone is gifted. Everyone can do the job. Can you execute? Do you believe you can do it? I always go back to Kevin Costner's For the Love of the Game. Billy Chappell, he was a great pitcher because he did the mechanism where he would shut out all the noise. He could focus right in on the pitcher. And then later in that game, the greatest game of his life, he loses the mechanism and he starts getting wild and he doesn't know if he can finish the game. When Billy Chappell, like any pitcher, they believe that they're the best. They believe they can do it. They are going to dominate. But they lack belief. They become Jose Luzardo. And I get it, Luzardo saying, hey, I was kind of tipping pitches. We've been kind of working on how I hold the ball, my mechanics. It's a work in progress. I'll get better. He's saying all the right things, folks. He's saying the right thing. But I'm telling you right now, that is a guy that his confidence, oh boy, I'm worried about him. And so for this organization to have a lineup with really only 2 to 3 reliable hitters and with a pitching staff with 3 elite pitchers and everybody else has question marks, it's not good enough. Over on the text board at 609-403-0973. Trey and Buna chimes in. Trey, appreciate you chiming in to our question of the day. How interested are you in Sixers Summer League tonight? Trey is on my side. Let's go, Trey. He says 85 to 90% of the guys playing tonight are going to go to the G League. I have zero interest, says Trey and Buna. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Listen, the fact that my buddy, what time did I send that text? Let me see here. I mean, that was hours ago that I sent him that text. Yeah, it was 10:06. He still doesn't reply back to me. That's how mad he is at me. Oh, my goodness. Yep. I think Trey and Buna, Jeff from Summers Point, Johnny G in Ocean City, we're all on the same page here. It's not appointment viewing tonight. It's not. It's not a real NBA game. It's just a bunch of dudes getting reps. All right, coming up on the other side. Rob Motti from the Associated Press. We'll get it back to the Eagles and the NFL here when we talk with Rob Motti about this Eagles offseason. Who are the Eagles? State of the NFL. All that and more. So to come. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And we are live on the X and YouTube platforms. Follow and subscribe at Josh Hennig.
Coming up on the next edition of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Hoping everybody has a great 4th of July weekend. We're back on Monday, looking back at the Phillies weekend against the Reds. Football at 4 is a Mosher Monday mailbag edition. If you have an Eagles question for Jeff Mosher, send it in to our text board, 609-403-0973, and we'll answer them on Monday's show.
The Sports Bash, weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Your go-to spot at the Jersey Shore to watch sports is also the Can't Miss Summertime Hangout for live music and great times in South Jersey. Yesterday's Creekside Tavern on Roosevelt Boulevard in Marmora features The Yard, with an outside bar, TVs, and live music on stage every weekend. So bring your friends to cheer on your favorite team, watch the sunset on the back deck, and make new summer memories in The Yard. You can do it all at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to learn about upcoming events and specials all summer long at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, clemicperformancemethod.com.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Don't get left in the dark. Calvi Electric, a certified Generac dealer, has you covered. From installation to maintenance, they're your go-to experts for Generac generators, ensuring your home stays powered through any storm. A Generac home standby generator will automatically restore power to your home during an outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Put your trust in Calvi Electric, the premier electrical contractor serving South Jersey for over 115 years. Visit calvielectric.com today or call 609-345-0151.
You hear that? That's Mike, sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Looking to shine this summer? It's the event you've been waiting for. Robert's Fine Jewelers in Northfield is holding their annual half-off sale next week, July 8th through the 12th. For 1 week only, everything in the entire store will be half off. That's right, half off stunning diamond rings, diamond necklaces, diamond earrings, and so much more. For 5 days only, treat yourself or someone special to timeless luxury at unbeatable prices. Only at Robert's Fine Jewelers. Shop with interest-free financing. Robert's Fine Jewelers. When it's half off, it goes fast. RobertsFineJewelers.com.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21. Shop 4th of July savings at the Home Depot right now and get up to 40% off, plus up to an extra $600 off select appliances with free delivery, like Samsung. From all-in-one washer dryers to smart refrigerators, upgrade to tech you can trust with Samsung appliances. The Home Depot has what you need to simplify your routine. Don't miss 4th of July appliance savings at the Home Depot. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $396 or more. Offer valid June 18th through July 9th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
7 years of fun and play. Go to Ocean Casino Resort for our 7th birthday. Go for the fun times and the tan lines. Go for the biggest acts and the hottest tracks. Hit a jackpot. Take a lucky spin. With over $7 million in prizes, it's time to go for the win. We've cherry-picked 7 new experiences for sizzling summer fun. Make Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City the cherry on top to your summer. Book today at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now back to Hanging with Henning on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You blitz all night!
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios on YouTube and X, as well as 97.3 ESPN FM. As promised, joining us now, Rob Maaddi, senior NFL insider for the Associated Press, joining me here as he looks very tanned and refreshed on the stream. Rob, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing good. I mean, I'm not as tan as you are, but I mean, good for you, man. You're looking good.
Yeah,
man.
30 days in the sun will do that to you. So it's pretty good. Starting to fade a little bit, so I got to get back out there.
Oh, okay. My bad. Well, I won't keep you too long then. I wanted to get to start with this because, the Eagles, they report for training camp in a couple weeks here. For you, is there a storyline or a topic that stands out to you the most heading into 2025 training camp for the Eagles?
I think it's got to do a little bit with how the team comes in, personality, and as far as coming off Super Bowl victory, how hungry are you to do it again? And repeating, obviously, we know is difficult in the NFL. Up until the Chiefs did it last year, it had been 2 decades since a team repeated as Super Bowl champions. So that's one of the storylines. But also, of course, Josh, we know they got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. And what is that going to look like going into the season? We've had the OTAs, the offseason stuff, but now it's training camp. Now is when the season begins. Now is when guys got to start getting in there, understanding what the new play caller is going to want to do, what the new, I said defensive coordinator, I just meant offensive coordinator, obviously, what they're going to want to do, what Kevin Patullo's offense is going to look like this year. And the fact that he's been there, he's been part of the team, he's been part of the organization, he's had input in the past, indicates and suggests from all things that we've heard that it's not going to be too different, but everybody's going to put their stamp on it. So I think how the offense responds to a new offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts having yet one more different play caller in his ear for how many years in a row is it now? And just the continued lack of continuity there. Had some guys last year who had breakout career years. I don't know if Saquon Barkley can ever do what he did again last season, which was almost historic, but the Eagles are not going to probably need Saquon Barkley to have a 2,000-yard season to be able to win a division, compete for a Super Bowl again. As long as he stays healthy, Jalen stays healthy, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and that offensive line stays intact, no matter what the play caller, what Kevin Patullo is doing, what the system is going to look like, I think they're going to have success. But that's going to be something that we follow early in training camp for sure.
And what's interesting is you mentioned it Hurts. It's I believe it's 8 different coordinators in 10 years is the stat. So
wow.
It's either 8 and 10 or 9 and 11, one of those two. But it's absolutely nuts. But what's interesting, Rob, is that even Jalen Hurts has said he's acting like it's different. He's like, oh, well, Kevin Patullo's been here for a while. We're familiar with each other. A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, these guys who have been here for a few years speak highly of Patullo. So apparently it's not just Sirianni. And it feels like, I'm not saying it's apples to apples, Rob, but it feels like that maybe there's a different vibe around Kevin Patullo versus when it was Brian Johnson being elevated.
Yeah, and I think when Brian Johnson was elevated, he had the familiarity and the relationship, the long-standing relationship with Jalen Hurts going back to when he was a kid. And there may have been some difficulty as far as when you are put into a new role. And he had been Jalen's QB coach, and now he's the offensive coordinator. And we saw how that season unfolded. And I think that sometimes it's relationships can change, and relationships can maybe impact what leadership looks like, what it can be, what it can translate to when you have a different kind of a role on a team in that aspect. So I thought Brian Johnson was equipped to be not only an offensive coordinator, but a guy who potentially could be a head coach in the NFL. And I still think that he's got that capability, but it just didn't work out that season with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and the way the Eagles had gone from Shane Steichen and the offense took a step back. So I think Kevin Patullo might be – there's a lot of learning involved, and I think there's learning involved for everybody there, whether it's Patullo observing how that unfolded, Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni understanding how things kind of went wrong previously and what they seem or what they feel like things can do differently this time around. So I think Kevin Patullo is better positioned maybe to have a more seamless transition than Brian Johnson had, but it's going to be hard to live up to what the team did last year, because anything short of a repeat of a Super Bowl is going to not be considered successful. So if the offense starts out slow, if the offense stumbles, they got a tough schedule too early on. If the offense has any kinds of just any setbacks whatsoever, it's going to be easy to put some of that blame on Kevin Patullo. And I don't know that it necessarily will be his fault until we see how things shake out.
That's a great point you just brought up. Rob Motti from the Associated Press, senior NFL insider, joining us here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN about the fact that if things don't go well, right, if things are not as great as they were last year, you don't go back to the Super Bowl, right? If you, if the Mekhi Becton loss is more of an issue than we thought, if A.J. Brown is reading a book on the sideline again, or whatever scenario happens, it's like, well, Kevin Patullo, first-time coordinator, like, there is an element, Rob, where maybe it's almost like a built-in, like, hey, at least we have this excuse to hang on. Like, I hate to think about it that way, but there has to be a part of the Eagles organization that probably does look at Patullo as, hey, we're taking the training wheels off, and let's see if he falls off the bike or not.
Yeah, and just like look at this schedule. You're starting out with the Cowboys. It's Thursday night, and hanging the banner and all that. Division rival, Cowboys trying to prove that they're not like. And then you go for that's a tough game, and then you go Super Bowl rematch in Kansas City. Then it's Rams who are it's a playoff rematch. Then it's Buccaneers in Tampa. Seems like they play every September, and Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers have had the Eagles number. And then it's the Broncos, who were a playoff team last year. So it's not until week, what is that, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Week 6 against the Giants where you have what you would consider a gimme. And then it's the Viking. Wow, they play the Giants twice in a 3-week span. They get the Giants out of the way in October. And then it's the Vikings in between, and then the Packers, then the Lions, then the Cowboys. Like, this is a very difficult schedule, and teams are going to be gunning for the Super Bowl champs. So I think that their record may not be their one-loss record could take a hit, and it may not necessarily be reflective of the coaching of Kevin Patullo. It may not be his fault if the offense has some, whether it's early struggles, whether it takes a little bit of time, or whether they are just facing good teams who are geared up for them, who have made adjustments from last year, who know what this team is all about. And it's going to be incumbent upon Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni and the rest of the offensive coaching staff to adjust and see how they can go at things differently. I think he's going to have his spin on on the offense differently than Kellen Moore did. Jalen Hurts is probably, and deservedly so, I think he's a Super Bowl MVP. And no matter how much disrespect he still gets nationally, and even locally too. I've seen people keep him out of the top 10 or top 11 Philadelphia athlete poll, which makes no sense to me. I still think he should have a lot of input into what the offense looks like.
And I'm sure he will have a level of input as well, just because of the supposed great relationship that him and Patullo, everyone keeps saying that they have. Read into that what you will. You know, Jillian, I don't think Jillian speaks highly of almost anyone, but now he's like gushing over Patullo. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but we'll find out soon enough. On the defensive side, Rob, I got to ask you because, you know, they did lose some players. They lost some starters, but I wanted to play for you. So as you know, everyone's got a podcast now, right? So on the Exciting Mike's podcast, as you can imagine, Cooper DeJean and Ree Blankenship are the co-hosts of that pod. Well, Zach Baun was on the pod, and Baun suggested that the Eagles' defense might actually be better this year. Take a listen. I want you to react to this.
And I think we have a lot to do as a defense too.
Oh yeah.
Like to think that was all of our first year in that scheme.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, what are we gonna do next year? Like,
I know.
Already, I feel like we're miles ahead of where we were last year at this time.
No, we're miles ahead, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
we're having these high level conversations in OTAs. You know, we haven't really been thrown in the fire.
We're not even like planning for who we're like our offense, like who.
So a lot of what ifs. Yeah, that could help us,
which is good.
Those guys seem to be pretty confident. Rob, is that confidence legitimate in your mind?
I think so, because the point they bring up is valid. This is another year in the system. Like at this point last year, nobody knew Zach Baun was going to be an All-Pro, an All-Pro linebacker who was maybe the best linebacker out there. Him and Fred Warner in the NFL. And we didn't know what Cooper DeJean, when he had some health issues, when he was going to be able to step out on the field. Didn't know that he was going to be able to play at the level that he did. And obviously Kenyon Mitchell at the other corner spot. So these are guys who are second year in the league, second year in the system. And in Zach Baun's case, obviously a veteran. And yeah, they do have some holes to fill. Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, no longer there. CJ, GJ, no longer there. But there's a lot to that. And I think there's that confidence that they have, knowing that they're coming off a Super Bowl victory where they shut down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They absolutely dominated, demolished that team. The Chiefs didn't put up any numbers or any points or anything significant until the game was well in hand late in the game. So for all intents and purposes, they just absolutely annihilated one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history and that offense. So they should carry that confidence over into this season. And I think it's legitimate that they feel that way. I don't know that I want to have two starting players on that defense having a podcast into the season. So I hope the Exciting Mikes and maybe can shelf that until the off season. But you know, it is what it is nowadays.
I mean, as long as it's not as self-destructive as Micah Parsons and his podcast for the Cowboys, I think I think it's okay. I feel like Micah, you know what Micah's problem is? He just talks too much. Like he doesn't keep it like, you know.
He's honest to a fault. He speaks his mind, and he gets himself in hairy situations by just saying what's on his mind, and maybe some, and you know what, I think that costs him a little bit in the eyes of some of the voters and some of the things. Like some people don't like that kind of personality, and they may hold that against you when it comes time to voting for whatever awards or whatever it may be. And I think he's a guy who may need to kind of do a little bit, and he does tremendous amount on the field, but let his playing do more of the talking than he does. But I don't know that Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean are going to get into any kinds of trouble. But you never know, right, Josh? I mean, like even someone like Brandon Graham last year, he had a show, and he's always great in the media. And he said something about, remember the whole AJ Jalen Hurts situation that Brandon Graham, injured at the time, he put out there, and that led to all kinds of issues in the locker room. So even veteran guys who should be savvy can sometimes slip up.
Couple more for AP senior NFL insider Rob Motti joining me here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM, streaming live on the YouTube and X platforms in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. Rob, we mentioned the Cowboys, and I got to ask you because I think they are the biggest question mark coming into this year in the NFC because first-time head coach Brian Schottenheimer, nothing against him personally, but I just don't think he's his dad. You know what I mean? His dad was a perennial winner, and Brian is just now getting his first head coaching job. Meanwhile, you bring in a guy like George Pickens. He could be combustible. I know he's playing on a contract year, but we saw him and all of his mess in Pittsburgh. So to me, I think the Cowboys are arguably the biggest wild card in the NFC because to me, they had the most what-ifs along with the most talent.
Yeah, and it's a bounce-back year for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, is coming off being the highest-paid quarterback in NFL, highest-paid player in NFL history, and obviously got injured, and the season wasn't what he wanted it to be. I don't know that they did enough in the offseason. I still don't think that they did enough in the offseason to help Dak out, right? You got him George Pickens as a number 2 receiver, but as you mentioned, George Pickens is a guy who can go off the rails. And the running back situation, they haven't answered that for a couple of years. Tony Pollard had 1,000-yard season last year. He's gone. They're counting on Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams right now as the running backs. You got to do. I think you got to do, and they got some rookies. You got to do better than that. You got to get it. You have to have some semblance of a running game, of a rushing attack, to be able to have success in the NFL, just to be able to take some pressure off Dak and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and the offense. And some of the decisions that Jerry has made in the past few years just haven't panned out. And I think they've got talent. The defense has the ability. Like last year, that defense, was it last year where they started out the shutout? Or my years are running into each other, but they have the ability with Micah Parsons and some of the guys that they have on defense to be dominant, but they also fell apart and were completely exposed in the middle against the run, couldn't stop teams. We don't know what Brian Schottenheimer is going to look like as a head coach. Obviously, his dad had a lot of success. I thought there were other guys out there that they could have brought in that could have had a more of an immediate impact, but Jerry wants to run the show, and it's got to be Jerry's thing. And I don't know that he's going to be interested in the guys who would push back, whether it's Gruden, Belichick, successful guys like that, or even others out there. So I think the Cowboys will be a team that can be in the mix for a wild card, but I don't feel that the Cowboys are anywhere close to the Eagles level right now, or the Commanders for that matter. So that opening day game, the fact that it's a rivalry, the fact that some teams who are hanging the banner have had historically a letdown in week 1 is the only reason why I have any concern about it. It's not the talent versus talent aspect.
Before I let you go, I can't let you go without asking you about the big trade this week. Steelers sending Minkah Fitzpatrick with a draft pick to Miami in exchange for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. Obviously, the Jonnu Smith, that's a reunion with Arthur Smith from when they were in Tennessee. Jalen Ramsey, I mean, that guy obviously upgrades the Steelers' defense. His secondary, still don't understand why Miami keeps willing to trade away good players, but I digress. Rob, your take on that deal for both the Steelers and the Dolphins?
Yeah, initially when I first heard it, it was like a head scratcher. I thought like Minkah Fitzpatrick is a better player in the secondary than Jalen Ramsey is right now. But then you start to dig into it a little bit. Jonnu Smith coming back is a big part of it. Pro Bowl season last year, breakout season last year for the Dolphins, and you add him to the mix with Aaron Rodgers. I know they got Pat Freiermuth at tight end. The Steelers do Darnell Washington. It just gives him another target, somebody who's had success, and we know that matters. Veteran presence, veteran guys, veteran pass catchers are important to Aaron Rodgers. And then you start to think about what they're going to do with Jalen Ramsey, try to use him in a little bit of that hybrid role, inside, outside, maybe a little bit at safety. And the fact that in today's NFL, Josh, corners are just that much more valuable than a safety position because teams are running. You need three. You need this slot and two outside guys. They're in that division in the AFC North. Just look at the Bengals: Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and what you have to go up against. And the Steelers know that they need some corners who are top tier, top notch to be able to compete. And of course, we know Baltimore and their offense and the talent that they have. And I think that's where that comes down to. I know that I tried to figure out and find out if maybe there was any kind of issue with Minkah. He's a quiet guy, sort of in the locker room, a leadership standpoint. There really wasn't any of that. We know Jalen kind of wears out. Jalen Ramsey's worn out his welcome at times. He's been part of a winning team. He's been part of a Super Bowl championship team with the Rams. So I think that matters. That's helpful from that aspect. But when people say they're going all in and that they made that trade because they're going all in, well, you also traded away a guy who's been an all-pro safety. So it's not a completely like you traded a third-round pick to bring in talent. No, you traded talent to bring in talent, but you brought in a couple positions that can help you.
He's Rob Maaddi, senior NFL insider for the Associated Press at Rob Maaddi on the Twitter X platform. Joining me here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, also don't forget about Faith in the Field, heard every Saturday and Sunday mornings right here on 97.3 ESPN. You know, Rob, you got to get Saquon Barkley on the Faith in the Field because it feels like he's going everywhere else talking about his faith in Christ, but he hasn't been on Faith in the Field yet. We got to make this happen, you know?
He was on, and it kind of like the headlines kind of irk me a little bit when they say, "Oh, well, Saquon became a Christian this offseason." No, he's been a Christian for a long time. It's just that he was baptized last year, so it's like you're taking that outward step, and it's that same quote, it's that same interview that keeps circulating out there. But you know what? I'll get him on. I got to get him back. I had him on when he was a Giant. Got to get him on as an Eagle, and I can't go without saying. My favorite baseball player of all time retired this week, Freddie Galvis, Josh. Wow. I know we thought he was in Mexico, Japan, wherever he was playing, and I still like to look at Freddie's numbers versus Bryson Stott's numbers, and I'm still comparing Freddie to other guys that come into town and play, whether it's second, short, or third.
Well, his defense is certainly better than half the Phillies, so.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Rob, always appreciate you jumping on. Take care, my friend. Stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
You got it, man. Loving the new time situation. Good luck with everything.
Appreciate it. Rob Maaddi joining me here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. And we are live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Swatch studios. And, of course, thanks to yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora, Boxing Insider Promotions, a summer event at Tropicana Atlantic City, Friday, July 25th, and Clement Performance Method for supporting me in this new time slot here on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up on the other side, we'll check on the text board one more time. I see Anthony and AC chiming in at 609-403-0973. And I'll give you some thoughts on an athlete who is one of the greatest of all time, why he needs to go away. I'll explain coming up next on 97.3 ESPN.
Listen up. The soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't.
But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
Lowe's knows how to set off your July 4th with savings. Right now, buy one, get one free on select one-coat coverage interior paint via Visa gift card rebate. Plus, get two select 2 or 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals for just $10. Hurry, these July 4th deals won't last long. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for more details.
Take the scenic route to the Jersey Shore this summer and get your chicken wing fix on Route 206 at the original Piccadilly Inn. The Pic Patio's open with live music and outdoor TVs. Drink specials during all the games and out-of-this-world wings. Take a Piccadilly weekend detour on your way to the shore. Then on the way home, stop back for more.
If you can't stop in, stop back. The Piccadilly Inn.
If Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea was your best friend, it would be the kind of friend that starts an impromptu dance party in the supermarket aisle that turns into an all-day pool party rager at your place, and you don't even own a pool. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea turns any day into a legendary adventure. It's smooth and refreshing real iced tea with just the right kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Get ready for a night of non-stop laughter. Colin Jost, star of NBC's Saturday Night Live, is coming to Ovation Hall at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City on Saturday, August 2nd. Experience an evening filled with hilarious comedy from the Weekend Update co-anchor. Don't miss your chance to see Colin Jost live at Ocean Casino Resort. Tickets are on sale now at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I want my picks back, and I want David Putnam.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All my picks back, and I want David Putnam just because I feel like it.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I am. Haven't I proved that already?
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig live here on 97.3 ESPN. Let's get to one more final text before we wrap up the show and before we get to my final thought for Hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, and live in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Make sure you use my link on my social media for Dr. Squatch so you can save $10 off of your next order of natural soap, deodorant, and more. Let's get to Anthony in Atlantic City. Says, Josh, why isn't anyone that worried about the in-house hire of the coordinator, especially when the OC last time flamed out so badly? Yeah, Anthony, we touched on this a little bit with Rob Motti, and I'll just follow up with it here. It's not that I'm not worried. I would say I'm intrigued because, as I told Rob, I'm very curious why everyone is so gung-ho about Kevin Patullo in a way they weren't about other coordinators in the past. Is there something about Patullo that we don't know? Does he have a connection with Hurts and Brown and Smith that maybe gets overlooked? The reporting out there is that apparently Patullo was very big key in Kellen Moore building the offense last year. And that Kevin Patullo says they're going to keep a lot of the same verbiage, terminology this year. So I think that's why people are not as worried, is because it doesn't seem as much of a crazy turnover. But I would say I'm intrigued by the in-house hire. I'm not worried. But like Rob Mai said, Anthony Atlantic City, there is a part of this conversation where it's like, hey, if it doesn't work out, you know what? Oh, well. Yeah, it didn't go well. It'll be better next year. It's kind of like almost like they get a cop out in this situation. Thanks again to Rob Mai for joining the show. Thanks again to Frank Close for joining me in the 12 o'clock hour. Talk to Phillies. Don't forget, today's Hanging with Hennig is being brought to you by Boxing Insider Promotions. Friday, July 25th, event of the summer season, the 5th event that Larry Goldberg has brought boxing to Tropicana Atlantic City in the last 2 years. And this time it's on an action-packed fight card with 3 New Jersey fighters, including undefeated heavyweight Bruce Selden Jr. from Absegami High School, Cali Box from Franklin Township, and Pleasantville's own Julio Sanchez, the third all in action, along with Philadelphia's undefeated welterweight boxer Christian Ortiz and super lightweight Diane, but all in action Friday, July 25th, where you can also see the WBC Junior Light Flyweight Silver title on the line when Anthony Dominguez takes on Byron Rojas. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com for the boxing event of the summer season. Speaking of boxing, combat sports, one of the greatest fighters of all time. My final thought for the day. John Jones. He is one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. The man was unrivaled in his physical ability, his talent, his creative skill. And a couple of weeks ago, he retired. Subsequently, right around the time that it was found out that he had another incident where he was in trouble with the law. The significance of this is this. John Jones came out yesterday on Twitter X after the news came out that President Donald Trump wants to get a UFC fight at the White House, have it on the lawn. John Jones all of a sudden is interested. John Jones all of a sudden is like, I want to be a part of that. Here's the problem, John. You have now been in trouble with the law for hit and runs involving women twice in the last 10 years. You have been caught multiple times using illicit drugs like cocaine. You got popped for PEDs because you were using Extends, John, because you were so cracked out on drugs that your fornicating ways were being prevented, so you had to go to the convenience store and get some Extends. John Jones may be one of the greatest fighters of all time, but his laziness outside of the octagon, his indifference about being the best version of himself, actually makes you wonder, is he the greatest of all time? I'm Josh Hennig. This is Hang with Hennig. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Every choice you make matters. Whether you're dining out, grabbing takeout from your favorite local spot, or shopping for that perfect outfit at a neighborhood